Good morning. It is 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Following the killing of Charlie Kirk, FBI Director Kash Patel told senators yesterday that agents are investigating more than 20 people with alleged ties to the suspect, Tyler Robinson, on social media on the app called Discord. In court yesterday, prosecutors detailed text messages that they say Robinson sent to others.
Prosecutors saying Robinson texted, "I had enough of his hatred." Robinson also allegedly referred to the gun used as Grandpa's rifle, expressing concern that his father would be upset if it wasn't returned. Authorities revealing it was Robinson's mother who recognized him in the images released after the shooting before she and his father convinced him to surrender.
And that's ABC's Lionel Moisey reporting. Channel 4 getting some reaction from tourists after a man went around downtown randomly punching people last month.
That's scary, but the sad thing is I feel like it's happening everywhere now, so I don't think Nashville is immune to that coming from Philadelphia.
We've been down here the last 3 days, and I've seen nothing but police officers, doing their job and everything. They're walking around, stopping people, doing whatever they got to do to help.
23-year-old Kevin Campbell now in custody on a $90,000 bond. Police are saying that one of the people punched lost consciousness for over a minute after falling and hitting the sidewalk. And a short while ago in Pittsburgh, a car crashed into the gate of the FBI building in the city's south side. Witnesses say that it appears to be intentional. They say the driver got out of the car and placed a flag on the fence. It's not clear if that person has been taken into custody. Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. Here's Michelle Franzen.
Stocks turned lower as the Federal Reserve kicked off its September meeting. The Dow lost 125 points. The S&P dipped 8 points. The Nasdaq gave up 14. The Fed will announce its interest rate decision. Investors are expecting some kind of cut based on the most recent economic reports. Dave & Buster's lost more than 16% after reporting a weaker profit for the latest quarter than what analysts expected. On the winning end was Steel Dynamics, which climbed over 6% after the company said it was seeing improved earnings across its 3 business units, crediting a strong demand for steel. NHTSA has opened an investigation into possible Tesla door handle defects after several parents complained that they had to break windows to get to their kids when electronic handles became inoperable due to low battery voltage. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Well, stock futures are mixed. The Dow futures are plus 9, but the Nasdaq futures down 12. S&P futures falling just a point. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. So it looks like they're still picking up the cones and trying to get the construction out of there on 24 westbound near Bell Road this morning. It had caused some giant delays, but it looks like they're picking those cones up now. Otherwise, on 40, on 24, on 65, everything is looking good so far. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And good morning to you. Hope you are doing well. The Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. I hate to start the show like this. My computers just completely took a crap on me. What do you, like, literally as I was talking,
Wow.
my computers just went down. Yeah.
The computer, like, so that monitor died and everything?
Monitors died and everything, just literally as I'm talking.
Wow.
As I'm talking.
Powers that be don't want you to show what you have to show today.
Yeah.
No, I think that's what it is. Oh, my Lord.
Either that or somebody didn't pay the bills.
Yeah, as Mr.
Bill
O'Reilly
said yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I think I re-signed in. I don't know what you're seeing on the...
I see that you're there, but you haven't presented anything.
Okay, well...
now you're gone.
Now I'm gone?
Yep.
I'm so sorry, people. This is terrible. All right, let's try this again.
Sometimes you interfacing with things is like a Taylor Swift song. It's an emotional
Okay, you know what?
roller
You're
coaster.
victim shaming. That is what you're doing. You are victim shaming. All right, so...
After reading the note...
Hold on, everybody. Hold on, everybody. What do you see now? This is so terrible.
You're not even in the meeting.
I'm not even in the meeting? Okay. Well, here's what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and start the show anyway, and then we'll get hooked up at some point with the video in the next few minutes, all right? But you know what? Here's the thing. Other shows, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus because everybody's got their own style, right? Other shows start off and they're having, fun and frivolity, talking about all kinds of things, whatever. So I like to just get right into the content, and that's the weirdest thing, though. Now, of course, people are texting me as well because I don't have enough distractions at this particular point in time. So anyway,
Dan's style is there is no style.
Oh, I've got style.
No, everything's on the table is what I'm saying.
Oh, everything's on the table? Absolutely. All right. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? So this is. Let's just go ahead and get right to it. I had this whole big intro planned, and now I can't do it. Charlie Kirk, the shooting suspect, Tyler Robinson, of course, we all now know that he has been charged with aggravated murder and are looking for the death penalty. Do you know what I love? There is, I think it's a congressman. Maybe you can look this up. But there's a congressman who is calling for Tyler Robinson to have a televised execution of Tyler Robinson. Hey, you know what? Why don't we have that be our daily Dan poll today? Should Tyler Robinson's death penalty, his execution, if he ultimately ends up being found guilty, if he ends up with the death penalty, and in Utah, the death penalty is the firing squad, which, by the way, is the smartest way to do the death penalty. So, guy wants it to be televised. Now, me personally, I don't want to see that. I didn't even want to see the Charlie Kirk video, the close-up. But there's a congressman calling for it, so why don't you make that our daily Dan poll, if you could. Should Tyler Robinson's execution be televised? The motive was that Robinson said Kirk spread too much hate and that he had had enough of his hatred. There were a whole bunch of other charges as well. But the bottom line is murder and the death penalty there in Utah. The district attorney read these text messages between the suspect and his boyfriend after the shooting. Now, there's a lot of theories that are going on out there regarding the boyfriend and the suspect. One of them is that early 20-somethings do not text the way that they were texting. Early 20-somethings, and this is what I'm told, no punctuation, no capital letters, no real, proper grammar, that kind of thing. You text an early 20-something, and they just go back and forth, and there is no real grammar protocol. That's what I'm told. Now, I don't text with early 20-somethings. I don't know. I couldn't tell you the last time I did, but that's what people are saying. And what they're also saying is that it looks like, Joan, you'll love this. This is a quote. People that know such things are saying that the text message thread between dude and his boyfriend actually looks like boomers wrote it.
Oh.
In other words, what they're trying to do is they're trying to say that this text thread isn't actually a thread between dude and his boyfriend.
I hate calling him dude when he's really not a dude.
Okay. The guy and his boyfriend, the suspect and his boyfriend. And they're saying that this is all part of the setup, right? This is going down into conspiracy theory roads, which, by the way, today
it is.
I am going to get into the conspiracy theories, including Candace Owens.
You're going to go that road?
I'm going to go that road.
Oh, man.
I'm going to go down the Candace Owens. I've got audio. I've got video, if we can get it to work. I've got all that stuff regarding Candace Owens, because there's a lot to talk about with that. Anyway, let's get to the audio, shall we? This is... Okay, is that what we're going to do? Go ahead, bring it up. Because, with Candace Owens, her truth is out there.
Yeah, her truth.
Her truth is out there. Anyway, we'll talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. This is Jeff Gray. He is Utah County District Attorney, and he is talking about the text message thread between the suspect and his boyfriend.
After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right? Robinson, I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you." Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson, I am. I'm sorry.
Now, can I ask a question? The second that happens, are you not picking up the phone and actually calling your loved one to talk, as opposed to sending text messages back and forth, waiting for the dancing dots to stop and the message to come in? I mean, think about this.
See, that's where I would allege the boomer activity to be, is to pick up the phone and call.
Yeah.
The younger 20-somethings will keep
They
texting.
don't. Yeah, they'll text.
Really?
Yeah. But in that text, he says, to be honest, no boomer, or I'm sorry, no young person now would ever say, to be honest, they'd say TBH. Nobody says, to be honest, anymore.
See, okay, fine. Here's what I would say. And actually, believe it or not, I do TBH.
Yeah.
Do you know I don't even do YOU apostrophe RE. I don't even do your anymore.
You do
I do
UR?
you are.
Oh, man, that's lazy.
Anyway, I call it time efficiency, Joan.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You know what I was thinking, though, about these text messages back and forth? Putting all the conspiracy theories aside, is that it sounds like what the suspect is doing is he's trying to clear his boyfriend.
Yeah.
That's how I read it. I read it as, okay, so I'm going to give you kind of where I'm going with this whole thing, is that I think that the boyfriend and his trans Antifa community convinced this guy to take out Charlie Kirk. He's really kind of like the patsy. And I think that he's writing this text message exchange so that would clear the boyfriend, who is then cooperating with police. He knows that if he gets caught, he's screwed. He doesn't want to take both of them down. So they write this text message back and forth so that his boyfriend is in the clear. That's kind of how I took it. Now, we could talk about whether or not this is early 20-something speak or not, but knowing that it might ultimately end up in a court of law to clear the boyfriend, maybe they wanted to be crystal clear that the boyfriend was not involved. Because that's what it seems like to me, that these text messages were designed to provide cover for the roommate. That was my first thought. And yeah, the other thing is, and think about this, Joan. Think about this, Sam. Your spouse gets into a car accident. You get a text, immediately you call. Your mom texts and says, I need to have surgery. You immediately call. Your kids send you a text that there is emergency. You immediately call. So to me, it just seems weird. Now, again, in fairness, I don't have any 20-somethings in my life. My daughter is 26, and she and I talk on the phone all the time. So I don't know. Maybe, you know what? Maybe folks on the super text line, what is your experience with early 20-somethings? Like, do they not know proper grammar to text back and forth? Do they not use punctuation? Because I mean, personally, I think there's a lot of stuff here. I got a multitude of text messages over the overnight, actually. People asking me, are you buying this? So that's kind of where I'm at, is there's some ambiguity here. There is. But let me know on the super text line, 615-737-9986, if you are looking at this as part of a broader, grander conspiracy. Is there anything going on in traffic?
No.
All right. Here's more.
Roommate, why? Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out.
All right, so the mom actually said that he turned to the dark side in the last year. So we'll get to that in a second. But the phrase, to me, rapid radicalization comes to mind, where if in the last year he got himself a, tranny boyfriend and they are involved in tranny stuff and furry stuff and all that, and they're also into the hatred of Charlie Kirk, and again, the FBI is looking into these other groups that may have had forward knowledge of this happening, then this guy could have been radicalized very quickly, just like Islam, where in Islam, you have people that are perfectly normal, and then 6 months down the road, they are radicalized to the point of murder. So I'm just wondering if that is what this is. That's where these guys are perfectly normal, and then they end up in these dark places on the web, and they very quickly turn to use my example, radical Islam, or in this case, a radical trans world where he was groomed to kill. That's part of the accusation that is out there. Now, I'm not saying that anyone else was in on it, but the FBI, there's a reason why the FBI is looking into all of these various groups out there in Utah. We reported on this the last couple of days. So the way that I'm reading this, you have this guy who was perfectly normal, has a conservative family, ends up with a trans boyfriend. He becomes part of this culture. Then he murders Charlie Kirk.
To me, it reads, I guess they're trying to put that love story perspective in it.
Oh, we've got that part.
Well, that's where I would, as someone that's the stages of love, right? You get to the obsession point where you're constantly thinking about that person. All you want to do is spend time with that person. I can recall the early days of dating my wife, and that's, I'm going full sentences. I'm spelling things out. You flex a little bit of intelligence. You kind of put out there the lengths you're willing to go to just by the language you're using. And so that's my initial when I read this.
Yeah, but you're talking
for a little while longer yet. Like,
right.
You're trying to romanticize your language.
But they're living together. I mean, they know each other.
Let's not normalize this. Like, this is not a love. I'm sorry. Like, I cannot accept that there's stages of love for somebody who is living with a furry.
See, I think
honestly,
I wasn't saying that. I was
Yeah.
saying that this falls under obsession in my mind.
I think
not legit.
I think dude was groomed. So you were on that, Joan? Do you think he was groomed?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that he was, something happened to him clearly because
yeah,
it came from this nice,
She got into furry loving trans people.
Right. So there was something that snapped.
Something snapped, and maybe he was rebelling against his family too, who his family's conservative. I mean, gosh, how many times have we heard this, right?
Yeah.
Family is conservative, and so you are going to rebel against everything and anything your family stands for.
My younger siblings.
And so what he decides to do is he's deciding to go off and do the exact opposite of everything his family stands for. And again, that's where he ends up with a furry-loving trans boyfriend, gets engaged in this culture, and that's why the FBI is looking into all of this with people that may have had knowledge. If some of these groups, and again, we're going to get into this here in a little bit, but if some of these groups did have forward knowledge of this,
Oh, yeah.
then that tells you that this was a community thing, and maybe they were in on this whole thing, and maybe there was some training involved. Again, I don't know, but I'm trying to piece everything together. Can I get some audio, please, if we could? Turn it up if we can. Why am I not getting any audio suddenly? Am I on in there?
Yeah.
Okay, well. I think so far this has been a stellar show. For whatever reason now, my computer isn't playing audio. You know what happened? Minutes before showtime, the computer's updated. And I think that's part of why everything is all a little screwy right now. However, that's okay because we got a lot of that stuff out. So we're going to continue talking about this. Just to let you know where we are going today, in addition to certain people intimating that Israel may have been behind all of this, we are going to speak with someone from the Heritage Foundation coming up at about 6:37. Going to talk about the latest on the Israel-Hamas war. 7:36, going to speak to Matthew Hurt, of course, our grassroots political analyst. Looking forward to speaking to him. He's got some thoughts on all of this, not to mention, of course, he also has some thoughts on, basically what all of this could mean from a political standpoint as well. All right, that's working. It's 5:23. Joan, was coming up in the news.
Yeah, the perfect storm that caused Monday's massive gridlock at the airport. Also, what police in Milwaukee discovered in a storage locker. These stories coming up here at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Holy mackerel. Joan, I just saw a stunning headline. Sam just saw a stunning headline regarding Kamala Harris.
Uh-oh.
She has decided now that her first big major sit-down interview since the 2024 election has been scheduled.
Hold on. With a person or with a network?
With a person.
With a person. So who?
And it's going to be it's going to be a really hard-hitting interview.
Oh. So she's going on The View?
Rachel Maddow.
Oh, please.
People call her Rachel Mad Cow.
Yeah.
Because she speaks and thinks that she's got mad cow disease, which I have no idea. I mean, that every time I mention Rachel Maddow, people say, it's Rachel Mad Cow. Okay. I think somebody, maybe Uncle Phil used to call her Rachel. I have no idea. But anyway, I'm sure that that's going to be hard-hitting. I'm sure that there will be a lot of tough questions. And I'm sure that there will be an enormous amount of incredible perspective that we'll learn in this interview between Kamala Harris and Rachel Madcow.
Is it wrong of me to say that the more aged she becomes, the more she looks like that one uncle who can't grow a beard? Is that just me?
Joan?
Yeah. Well, why do I have to answer that?
Joan? I got nothing. Let's see here. 4204 on the thought of public execution. Hey, Dan. Hello. Just weighing in on this public execution. How does that make us any better than the other side? If we're demanding it be shown on television, could be interpreted as a love of violence. I think he should get whatever punishment he should, because what he did is atrocious, but putting it out for public view makes us no better. I don't know. Did we do? So we did that as the Daily Dan poll?
We did.
So what are people saying?
Oh, we're split right now. 50-50. 50-50 people have an issue with it. What I would reply to that super texter with is that the difference being that the punishment was decided in a court of law.
Right. As opposed to
just a completely random slaying that traumatized thousands of people, maybe millions more who saw the footage. Yep. Whereas this is an optional, hey, this is where it will be broadcast. This is where you can see it. Avoid it if you don't want to see it. Dan and I both had said we didn't get a chance to avoid it when we were looking for updates on Charlie Kirk. It was just there.
Yep, it was just there, man. And and by the way, the super text line is really split on this on this whole conspiracy theory. Is a conspiracy theory? Was he radicalized by the trans movement? The whole thing. So also, I had something weird happen to me this morning. Like really, really bizarre weird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that as well. It's all straight ahead, 5:30 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is now 5:31, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. BNA says there was a perfect storm of happenings that caused the massive Monday gridlock that saw some passengers abandoning their cars and walking along Donaldson Pike with their luggage.
Says they had closed a lane for construction earlier in the day, but it reopened around 1:30 p.m., at least an hour before the traffic got bad. They also said their crews responded to help with a crash on Terminal Drive, but it was cleared up by the time they arrived. The Nashville International Airport attributed the issues to an unprecedented surge in rideshare pickups and drop-offs, 8,000 more than a typical Monday. They also said event-related travel contributed between NFL fans leaving and convention goers arriving.
That's WSMV4's Braden Ross. BNA says for now, it's best to just arrive even earlier than usual to catch a flight. Police in Milwaukee got a strange request when they arrived on the scene of a storage facility at 1:30 in the morning.
Police are on scene requesting a forced entry. They believe a baby is locked in one of the storage lockers.
The audio courtesy of Broadcastify. In fact, there were 6 children ranging in age from 2 months to 9 years. They were locked inside. None of them were hurt. A man and a woman were taken into custody, but police are not saying if they're the parents. We'll have more on this as it becomes available. This is the day that Wall Street's been waiting for, as the Federal Reserve should make a big move today.
The central bank is expected to cut interest rates today for the first time this year. For the typical American, that could mean paying less on car loans and credit cards, even as your savings accounts take a hit. Today's move coming as more data shows a slowdown in the job market.
That's ABC's Perry Russum. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Some backup on 24 westbound side as you're approaching the Nashville area this morning. It looks like it's just volume at this point. We don't really have any delays so far on 24 in the eastbound side or on 65. 40 is also looking good around the airport. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
538 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, the haters have woken up early this morning.
Uh-oh.
So I've got, I don't know, there's just a few that are accusing me of doing nothing but talking about Charlie Kirk. So
really?
roughly, 60% of my content yesterday was other than Charlie Kirk. I mean, I talked to Jack Johnson about all kinds of stuff, Senate Majority Leader, and I had Bill O'Reilly on. And we spoke to Bill O'Reilly about a number of different things. But here's the thing, is that this is an ever-evolving story. And so I'm just here to tell you that I talk about the Charlie Kirk stuff, number one, because I know that this is an audience that, by and large, they were supporters of and fans of Charlie Kirk. And this is a story that touches a lot of different areas, right? It touches conservatism. It touches crime. It touches politics. And there's some conspiracy theory stuff in here as well, which we'll get to. And every day, and Christianity, of course, and every day there's a ton of new angles. So, yeah, I'm going to unapologetically talk about this because this is what a lot of people want to hear about. So unapologetically, I'm going to say sorry, not sorry, but whatever. By the way, this is interesting. So just so you know that it's not just like us here on WTN conservatives who believe that the people should lose their jobs for celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination. I thought it was interesting. Fox 17 did a poll. Should people lose their jobs for celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination? So I went ahead and took the poll. I voted yes. But even on Fox 17, 79% of the people who took the poll said absolutely. People that are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk should lose their jobs. So
I was one of those people. I voted on that, too.
Did you vote in that, too?
Yeah.
All right. Did you?
Yep.
Sam? All right. Very good.
I like those Fox polls.
You like our polls or no?
I like our polls, yeah.
Okay, because you're praising the other polls.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
It's all right. Listen, maybe I'm too sensitive these days, Joan. I don't know what it is. I'm totally kidding. Something really weird happened to me this morning.
Okay, yeah. What's the weird thing? Did you see a UFO?
So I leave really, really early in the morning.
Yeah.
And I live by the lake. I'm walking out to my car. I smell the devil's lettuce.
No.
I smell Maridahuchi. I smell marijuana. Mary Jane, who is smoking pot near my car at, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Request lines are now open. KGFJ Soul Radio.
Someday I'll understand why you do that.
Yeah, I
Sam.
don't know either.
Cheech and Chong.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just got dismissed by Joan. I want you to know that, Sam. Go play back that last 5 seconds of what Joan just did. Joan, that was awesome. I need to learn the power of being dismissive like a woman. Anyway. So,
One of God's gifts.
It's an innate sense.
And I'm walking, and I'm like, where is that coming from? But it was the unmistakable smell of pot.
So, did you find anybody?
Well, no, because I was a little creeped out. Because I already think that my house is haunted. I've told you about. Have I told you about that, Joan?
I don't think so. Because I'd have thought you were crazy then.
Johnny B and Ken know this story. A lot of people know this story. Give me 15 seconds to catch these guys up. My basement, there have been times, a couple of times now, but one specific time where I was down there doing show prep, and in the corner of my eye, I see a woman sort of, floating, if you will, across the room. And she was wearing like 1800, like colonial kind of clothes. And it was I got chills.
Did
I'm
this
telling
happen
you,
only once or more than once?
It's happened a couple of times. And there's weird stuff that happens in my house. I didn't want to get into it, but there's just weird stuff that happens.
I'm getting chills.
So I'm walking out. Now, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I live by trees. And so I'm sort of looking around, and there's nobody around, but I smell pot. Now, Sam said maybe it was an actual skunk. Not skunk, but an actual skunk. And I told Sam in no uncertain terms that I know the difference between skunk
And the devil's lettuce.
and the devil's lettuce. So I don't know where it came from. It was so weird. There's like nobody around.
Do you have Ring cameras?
No. I should.
You definitely
Yeah.
should.
Even I have one.
Yeah.
You got Ring cameras, Joan?
Yeah.
It's in our budget for 2026. No, I'm not that. I should. You know what? To be perfectly honest, I should have. And I know that people are going to start yelling at me, telling me that not only should I have Ring cameras, but I shouldn't be advertising on the radio
right,
that I
you
don't.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about can I guess it was a white colonial dress?
Well, aren't ghosts always in like gray?
It's like a grayish kind of a fabric. Why?
Were there facial features that were defined, or was it more distorted?
She was like a brunette.
Yeah, but I'm talking about feature, like the
I
details.
don't know, man. Why are you getting so specific?
Because this...
It was out of the corner of my eye.
Okay.
I remember her. She had a nose. Why? Tell me where you're going. Because I want to know. I want to know. But as you talk, you better play that stupid little X-Files theme too. Because it's not just me.
Well,
maybe the colonial lady is a pot smoker.
I was going to say.
Next time I see her, I'm going to pull out a hair. And give it a drug test.
Was she wearing flowers in her hair?
I'm going to tell her, no drugs in this house, lady. Get.
Women of that era were more susceptible to the nose candy.
Do you know that? Do you know that I actually live across the street from one of those cemeteries? That it's like a really old cemetery, and they built the neighborhood around the cemetery. But it's one of those things where they have to keep the cemetery.
Yeah.
And so that is like right across the street.
You know the town of Pegram's haunted for a developmental reason, right?
Do you think that they moved the headstones, but they didn't move the bodies?
Oh.
Possibly.
Like, is that Poltergeist? Is that the movie Poltergeist?
I don't watch those movies.
I'm having to, I can't remember exactly. But I will say, to that, the town of Pegram is considered cursed in some ways because developers came in and they kind of loosened the ground up, and then a flood happened, and all of these caskets washed out of this cemetery, and the town's had all sorts of problems ever since then. So if you live across the street from a cemetery and you're seeing ghosts in your basement, I think one can make the A plus B equals C formula.
Yeah, maybe. Are you guys ready for this? Maybe this is what happened in my neighborhood.
Son of a bitch, you moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you?
Maybe that's what it is.
Son of a bitch, you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! You only moved the headstones!
You found that way too quickly.
Maybe that's what happened in my neighborhood. Maybe that's why I've got a colonial lady smoking pot near my backyard.
Yeah.
If I have to be confined to this property for eternity.
Oh, I feel sorry for the person that has to haunt my house. My house is haunted by the living. Just ask my wife. Anyway, so moving right along.
Did you just feel that? Did you just hear that?
I did, and I'm wondering. So they do blasting early in the morning here for those folks that are listening on the radio and whatever. We all just felt the blast, heard a blast.
Was that a blast?
That was a blast.
That was scary.
Yeah. Yeah, we felt.
I normally feel them in my feet when that happens. All I did was hear that.
Yeah,
So,
that was a blast. And
rationalize it any way you can.
We used to have a guy. I don't know. He doesn't text us anymore, but we used to have a guy who would always say, "Hey, there's a blast coming at 5:47." Just letting you know.
Right?
Oh, he was always right. He was always spot on.
So he was part of the crew.
Yeah, he was. Oh, yeah. We loved him because I think there was one day I did a countdown to the blast. Anyway, so there you go. So, yeah, I don't know. All right, so now how deep do I want to go into the whole not Megyn Kelly, but Candace Owens thing?
Candace Owens?
I mean,
look,
I
if
feel
you're
like I
going to
want
go down that road, you have to go all the way down the rabbit hole.
I want to explain it. Like, I'm not advocating for what she says, like, at all. Because I think, just tell you where I'm at with Candace Owens. Man, I used to love Candace Owens. Just incredible. But I don't know what in the world, like the whole Macron's wife is a man thing.
Yeah.
I'm out. And by the way, still looking for that proof. Because, I mean,
Still
I was
looking for la wee wee.
I was able to debunk that in 2 minutes on the internet. So I don't know, man. People are calling her a grifter. Other people are saying that she's asking some very legit questions. I'm going to tell you that after my segment, basically what I'm going to say, and if you're just tuning in, we talked about this earlier, there are people that are accusing Candace Owens of accusing Israel of having a part in Charlie Kirk's murder. Now, realize that there are people out there that will always accuse Israel of things like that, evilness. And so for, me, I feel like people are asking me what I think about the whole Candace Owens thing. So I'm going to play what she said yesterday and kind of give you my perspective on it. Tucker Carlson, by the way, is chiming in as well. Now, realize Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, they're sort of amplifying each other, right? Both are anti-Israel.
Yeah. I think that's the common thread.
That is very much of a common thread. And so you got all these people within Charlie Kirk's inner circle who are saying, no. Charlie Kirk would never approve of what Candace Owens is saying. So, and they are rebuking her and debunking her left and right. But of course, in true Candace Owens form, she's not backing down on this. Just like she didn't back down on her thought that Macron's wife is a man. So the more you dive into some of these things, it's really, kind of whatever. But here's what I would say is that a lot of conspiracy theories end up being true. So I stopped saying, the conspiracy theories are all conspiracy years ago. I mean, we could go down the line of all of the conspiracy theories, air quote, that turned out to be true, right? So I think Candace Owens, I think she's doing what she does, but enough people have asked me about it that I feel like I probably want to comment on it and tell you, just explain to you what's going on. But Charlie Kirk, apparently, and I'll go into this, Charlie Kirk was getting a lot of pressure, they say, from donors and the pro-Israel crowd because he was having, even though he is a hardcore Israel supporter, he was also having a challenge with some of their methods going after Hamas. And so I think that was what was going on. He also hosted a debate between a guy who was effectively, essentially questioning Israel and a guy that was pro-Israel. And so all Charlie Kirk did was moderate the debate, but he started, because of those two things, he started getting all kinds of hatred, and people were calling him anti-Semitic, among many other things. And so and there's people that have said that he was actually fearing for his life. I don't know if that's true or not. But that can be true. He could have been getting pressure from the pro-Israel lobby, if you will, and also he could have been murdered by a guy who was radicalized by Trans-Tifa, right? So those two things can be true. Now, I don't know, unless, Sam, you've seen anything, or Joan, if you've seen anything where she has actually come out now and actually said that Israel was behind the assassination. I don't believe she has actually said that. People are saying that she is intimating that. I'll let you listen to the audio and watch the videos for yourself. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. 5:52 on Nashville's Morning News. By the way, it's 7:38 this morning. We are going to talk to Matthew Hurt, our grassroots political analyst. And by the way, if you have an opinion on the whole Candace Owens thing, feel free to send me a note on the super text line, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Joan, we didn't even get to ABC News.
But we have to.
As they were so incredibly touched by the text thread between the suspect and his boyfriend. So we're going to...
Matt Gutman. Oh, are you not going to play it here?
No, I'm not going to play it. No, it's
Okay.
5:52. We don't have time.
Oh, I see.
I know, right? The commercials, Joan, they wait for no one. Just ask the sales department and the managers. Of which that's why I'm no longer one. Hey, Joan, coming up. What's up?
Yeah, we have the battle over government funding and how close we may be to a shutdown. It's coming up here at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. All right, so you want to play a little fun with audio, Joan and Sam?
Oh, yeah.
It's Jasmine Crockett,
Oh, boy.
or as we like to say, Jasmine Crockett. Shh. And she's talking about guns, and she's talking about Charlie Kirk, and talking about how she is sort of dismissing the fact that the suspect was a leftist. Listen.
But when we look at it, please tell me who is fostering this gun culture, right? I mean, the reality is that the average person on the left probably couldn't make a shot from 200 yards because they haven't been playing with assault rifles since they were a little kid. Like, that is just the reality of how people on the left typically work. And
what a dip. What an idiot. First of all you need to know a little bit about dude's history is that he comes from a conservative family and he was introduced to guns at an early age. And then, as I've been saying, somewhere along the line in the last year or so, his mom even said this. I've got that part of the story coming up. But his family has even said he was raised in that conservative pro-2A family, obviously experienced with guns, and then he turned to the dark side of the left and this whole trans furry culture.
And not to get too into the details of it, but, you know, I would hope that the representative would understand the difference in a bolt-action rifle that's been around for over 100 years and an assault-style rifle.
Well, she don't. Here, listen more.
if we believe that political violence is a problem in this country, if we believe that our children on campuses, just because they want to go out and have a day of free speech on campus, may be subjected to this kind of violence, then maybe we need to start talking about legislation that will keep these types of weapons out of certain people's hands. Now, whether or not this gentleman would have qualified under any type of laws that...
Kind of funny she calls him a gentleman, by the way. Kind of funny there. By the way, you'll notice it's a private school Jasmine who made that appearance on CNN. So, and people are saying she's auditioning for The View.
Why would you jump on a sinking ship?
I don't think respectfully, I don't think The View is a sinking ship. I think The View, sadly, these days is right where the Democrats are. As asinine as it sounds, they have great ratings for whatever reason. They have advertisers as well. And they ignored cringe Jean-Pierre, but it would not surprise me if private school Jasmine actually ended up on The View. 6 o'clock on WTN.
Good morning, now 6 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Some of us are getting some fog or mist this morning, and that'll last for a little bit of the morning, and then we'll get some sunshine going up to 93 later. Stick around for the forecast. The Democrat leaders in Congress are saying no way to the short-term government funding bill that Republicans have put forth. It keeps the lights on through November 21st, and if it makes it to the Senate, that bill needs 7 Democrats to vote yes. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says he hopes they do.
I'm hopeful that they'll come to their senses and there'll be enough Democrats out there who consider Senator Schumer's advice, which I think he's getting from online trolls and activist groups, which he shouldn't be listening to, that they'll conclude that that's really bad advice and work with us to keep the government open.
Now, the short-term funding bill provides more money for security for the Supreme Court, government officials, and local police departments. In Pittsburgh, police are still looking for the man who crashed his car into the front gate of the FBI field office there. FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge Christopher Giordano.
Right now, he is wanted in connection with this crime against the FBI. It is a federal offense, and we will be seeking prosecution to the fullest extent.
And they say they know who the suspect is. They say they consider this an act of terror against the FBI. Nobody was hurt. The Madison County Sheriff's Office says one of the 3 men who escaped from the county jail on Sunday could be here in the mid-state. His name is Dylan Decker.
He's one of 3 men who escaped out of the jail's rec yards Sunday morning. Well, investigators believe that he has ties to this area in the mid-state, so you're asked to be on the lookout. If you see any of these men, you are asked to not approach them. Just go ahead and report it. Call 911.
Channel 4's Alexandria Adams. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
A lot of people on Wall Street already banking on an interest rate cut from the Federal Reserve this afternoon. Now there are questions about how many more cuts might be coming this year. The Fed widely expected to cut a key rate by a 1/4 point, despite inflation stuck above the target of 2%. Futures overnight pointing to a higher open this morning after the Dow dropped nearly 0.3% in Tuesday trading. The S&P lost just over 0.1%, and the Nasdaq closed down a fraction. Back to school shopping, helping to boost retail sales numbers last month. They bumped up by a better than expected 0.6% compared to July. The increase coming as consumer prices in August were up 2.9% compared to last year. While we're spending, a lot of us are also struggling with our finances. FICO says the average credit score for Americans has dropped 2 points compared to last year. The drop driven by more people using their credit cards and a spike in missed payments. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Stock futures mixed. Dow futures up 4, NASDAQ futures down 23, S&P futures -5. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Take a Jones 604, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mandis here. Are you trapped in a high-rate mortgage watching your hard-earned money vanish every single month? Well, stop right now, because at Loan Pronto, they are delivering the lowest mortgage rates in 3 years. Now, Loan Pronto's rate reduction home loan program is a streamlined, low-cost way to slash your house payments by hundreds of dollars every single month. Lock in a fixed rate as low as 4.99% APR and close in as little as 2 weeks. No appraisal is needed in most cases. And here's the best part. You can skip your next 2 house payments entirely. That's right. Now, don't wait, because rates this low won't last long. So call Loan Pronto right now for your free, no obligation quote. Loan Pronto is simply amazing. Lower payments, more money in your pocket, and a fresh start with a better mortgage. Call my friends at Loan Pronto. They can help you. 615-499-5780. 615-499-5780. Find them online anytime. It is loanpronto.com to lock in that new low rate and skip those next 2 house payments. Find them online anytime. Again, loanpronto.com. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Already getting slow at the merge between 24 and 65 to the north of Nashville this morning. Otherwise, on the major roadways, well, 24, yeah, it's starting to look like that's slowing down as well. That'll be volume delays there. 40 looks okay. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you. Lots of news to talk about. Hey, coming up at 6:36 or so, all the latest on the war between Israel and Hamas. That is coming up with one of our friends from the Heritage Foundation. 7:38, our buddy Matthew Hurt is going to be joining us as well. All the latest on politics and whatever's going on in Washington, D.C. And perhaps we'll even, of course, wade into the murder of Charlie Kirk. It is all straight ahead. Now, in the 5 o'clock hour, if you're just joining us because people are tuning in all the time, new folks are tuning in the 5, we did talk about the text exchange between the suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk and his boyfriend, the furry tranny boyfriend, right? So, and just so you know, just give me 20 seconds to reset that very quickly. So it seems to me that the suspect wrote that text message in that text message thread, basically talking about how, you know, he should have grabbed the rifle when he jumped from the building. He's trying to find the time to retrieve it. But he did actually admit in that text thread that he shot Charlie Kirk. He also talked about how the roommate didn't know anything about it. And it did seem to me that he was trying to really exonerate the roommate. He was trying to ensure that the roommate didn't face any charges because he essentially is saying the roommate didn't know anything about it and so forth. A lot of people are hitting me up and talking about how 20-somethings don't actually text back and forth the way that these two did in complete sentences with all of the punctuation and everything else. And, you know, folks online are saying, well, this looks like boomer speak as opposed to 20-something speech, which apparently when they text back and forth, really it's without punctuation, a lot of shortcuts, a lot of, you know, TBHs and, you know, you are for your, you know, those kinds of things. And so we'll continue to talk about that. A lot of people are jumping into whether you want to call them conspiracy theories or just theories, but there's a lot out there. So that's what we covered in the 5 o'clock hour. FBI Director Kash Patel, he was at an oversight meeting yesterday, and we've got some great audio. Kash Patel going against Pencil Neck Adam Schiff, and Kash Patel going up against Spartacus as well, Cory Booker. So we'll talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. But Josh Hawley asked Kash Patel during this oversight hearing yesterday if they were also looking at, need some video, also looking at the groups that the suspect was associated with online.
Reports have suggested that the FBI is investigating a broader network of groups that may have had some knowledge of the shooter's plans. Can you give us any details on that, following up what you've already said in public? How's the FBI working to find other potential accomplices, folks who may have known about the shooter's plans, folks who may have encouraged him? Any update on any of that?
So in terms of what we do for an interrogation perspective, we go and reach out to the family and community immediately. And we've conducted those investigations and interrogations with local law enforcement, and we're continuing to do that because those closest to the suspect are going to hopefully know the most about the suspect and his beliefs and his ideology. On top of that, unfortunately, it has been leaked that there was a Discord chat, and for those unfamiliar with it, it's a gaming chat room online that the suspect participated in. So what we're doing, we've already done, is serve legal process, not just on Discord, so that the information we gathered is sustained and held in a evidentiary posture that we could use in prosecution should it be decided to do so. And we're also going to be investigating anyone and everyone involved in that Discord chat.
Okay,
Yeah, remember one of the things, real quick, the mom, the family is saying and acknowledging that in the last year or so, he took a turn to the left. He was raised in this family of conservatives, and clearly they appreciated guns in this family. The gun that he utilized, allegedly, they say, in this murder was actually a gift from a family member. I think he was a grandpa. I think that's what they were talking about, right, Sam?
Grandpa's rifle.
So was it grandpa's rifle, or was it a gift from the grandpa? Do we know? Because I know that both of those theories have been out there. So I don't know if it was actually Grandpa's gun or if Grandpa gave the gun to the suspect. Regardless, the family is saying that he took a turn to the left, to the dark side, on the dark web, and that is where he ultimately was inspired to do this.
Very good. I see the public reports that the Discord thread had as many as 20 additional users. It sounds like you're trying to run down all of that to see if that's accurate, who else may have been on that thread, what they may have known. Is that fair to say?
It's a lot more than that, and we're running them all down.
It's a lot more than 20?
Yes, sir.
And you're running all of that to ground?
Every single one.
Yeah, fantastic.
All right, so that is Kash Patel, and that concurs, that supports what we've been saying all along here in the last several days, actually, that the Trump administration, the FBI, they're looking at all of these different groups, by the way, including, of course, Antifa as well, to see who was involved in this guy not only becoming radicalized, but who may have known that this was going to happen, because there are some posts that indicate that people knew this was going to happen. So now they're engaged in a who knew what when.
Yeah, and Discord has come out and said that we did find an account associated with Tyler Robinson, but we didn't see any messages or anything. And people are using that to stoke the conspiracy fire that maybe there were no messages. Maybe we were just being told that there were messages.
Yeah.
That's to anyone with that question, I would say if you were in charge of a platform like that where an assassination plot was being planned out, you're going to get held liable, and you would deny it all day.
Right. And they're going to deny this because there's the possibility of getting shut down. There's a possibility of getting sued. Listen, they shut down Parler.
Yeah.
Didn't they shut down Parler?
They shut down Parler for less, but I would also say there's potential for the people who may have let it slip through the cracks to face criminal charges themselves.
So one of my favorite parts of yesterday was MSNBC having to report that he had become radicalized to the left. And on these trans issues as well, MSNBC and Nicole Wallace had to report it.
Robinson, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. I'm going to turn myself in willingly.
Officials say that the suspect's mother is also cooperating with the investigation. His mother says that in the last few months, the suspect had moved to the left politically and had become, in his mother's words, quote, more pro-gay and trans rights oriented, end quote.
There you go. Nicole Wallace, MSNBC, having to report that very glumly, by the way, because remember, part of what we've been talking about is you have all of these people on the left, and they're trying to make this into, and I've got that great audio, they've been trying to make this into a love story.
It's just insane.
A love story between the suspect and his furry trans boyfriend. So we'll talk about that. I've got that must-hear audio straight ahead. 6:15, time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, it is going to be very warm today. Plenty of sun and a high of 92, feeling like 95. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. Did you see who's now doing leftist commentary for CNN?
No.
Remember Montel Williams?
He's doing leftist commentary for them?
Yeah, he's over there on CNN.
Oh, my goodness.
And he's talking about how this was kind of sort of a love story. Yeah, listen to this.
I don't believe he was motivated politically. I think this was motivated emotionally. I think this was a emotionally stunted person who literally...
Come on, man.
When I say it this way, just hear me, tried to defend his significant other, not trying to defend some ideology.
But although I do think there's clearly an ideological difference. That's why I played about what they said about the family. I mean, the ideological difference that he was reacting to wasn't just Charlie Kirk. It was also maybe his dad. I mean, his father was, according to him, MAGA. So that conflict was there. Clear.
So I mean, even Abby Phillip had to be like, dude,
stick to real estate.
Is that what Montel Williams is doing these days? Real estate?
That's what I remember the commercials on. It came on at 2:00 in the morning that he'd be doing.
Got it.
Plugging a loan service or something that no one ever heard of.
So ABC News, Joan actually sent this to me yesterday. Joan, thank you, because I had not seen this.
This sickens me, by the way. I sent it to Dan.
This video went viral.
Yeah.
All right. I don't even know what this dude's name is, but he's reporting
His name is Matt Gutman.
Matt Gutman.
Yes.
He's got that perfect anchor hair, but his brain leaves a lot to be desired. Listen to Matt Gutman about how he, again, tries to make this into a love story.
We have seen an alleged murder with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate, who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love. So it was this duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case. And on the other hand, he was, speaking so lovingly about his partner. So a very interesting and, as Pierre said, riveting press conference, David.
It was tough.
So I got you riveting right here, buddy.
That is so dumb.
What?
That is so dumb.
Ugh.
That he was, because clearly he was so intrigued with the fact that, the suspect called the other guy, what was it, my love?
My love.
My love. And I still think, people are kind of sort of disagreeing with me on this, but I still think that the fact that they have all of this in text message where they continue texting even though the roommate discovers that he is the suspect is the one who did what happened in Orem, Utah. He didn't just pick up the phone and call at that point. They continue texting. And I contend that anybody, regardless of age, is going to, at that moment, pick up the phone and say, what do you mean that was you? But no, they kept texting back and forth, which, I mean, personally, I believe it is ridiculous. I do understand that at the time that they were texting back and forth, that he was waiting, trying to pick up the gun that he had left behind. I do understand that. But I just think it is ridiculous that they kept texting back and forth. I contend that it was all about providing cover for the furry trans boyfriend. I think that's what these text messages were all about.
I would even wonder, is he actively watching over where he, dropped the rifle?
At that time, he was.
So would he be voice texting? Would that explain why there's full sentences, why the roommate's texting, the what, you're joking, right, text from the roommate has got a ton of question marks, like someone would do if they were physically texting.
Yes. That's a great point.
So if you're voice texting, you're going to be a little bit more specific with your language. You're going to be more specific with your punctuation. And the other point, when I said earlier, I mentioned how this looks like it's out of obsession. Of course, Gutman is trying to say that it's love. This is out of obsession. Look at how many more texts Robinson sends than what the roommate replies, because the roommate's in shock.
Right.
The roommate doesn't know what to think, do, or say, and so the instinct to want to call him is probably not there.
Allegedly. But fine. By the way, I want to play this real quick. This is Scott Jennings, of course, on CNN, because they're trying to make this about anything but what it is, which is evil. By the way, if you want to see any of the videos that I'm playing right now, find me on X at DanMandisShow. You can see all these videos. This is Scott Jennings as they talk about the aftermath of this press conference yesterday.
What I am not happy about is that we have the shooter's words. We know what he put on the bullets. It's very, very clear what happened here. And there is a movement by some people to completely say, well, we have no idea.
Scott, hold on.
We do.
Hold on. We have the floor. You can have the floor back. But here's the thing. I had to really struggle to understand all of the details that were on those bullets. They are internet memes from video games that people way younger than us play.
Hey, fascist, catch.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Is that so hard?
Yeah, there's no mystery there.
That was one of the slogans that was etched onto these bullets. Hey, fascist, catch.
Well, I think she might be referring to that one about the bulge in the pants or something like that.
Well, the one with the arrows moving
Right.
I think she's trying to hide from the obvious "hey fascist" catch, right?
And that's also it's from a video game called Helldivers. Apparently, the second one, all of them had to do with something with that game.
Yeah.
So that could be where he got his reference, because it wasn't creative enough to come up with his own, or taking it and applying it based on what that game. I don't know what it's about.
Well, and it doesn't matter because one of the bullets were literally said, "Hey fascist, catch," and that leaves no room. Everybody knows what that means, including, you would think, Cassie or Casey Hunt, whatever her name is over there on CNN. And Scott Jennings is absolutely right. By the way, I reposted, follow me again on X at Dan Mandis Show. I reposted a post made by Andy No, because there's a number of different aspects or elements to this. You've got the trans groups, you've got trans Tifa, Antifa, that may have had a hand in this. That's where the FBI is starting to go. And so Andy No posted what he discovered, a thread, an Antifa thread on Reddit. It is a subreddit thread. And this is what it said. "You've been training your whole life for this, guys," is what the thread shows. The Antifa, this is from Fox News, the Antifa subreddit made a post saying why Charlie Kirk and like him deserve to be killed to smear him. They reference a Media Matters hit piece. And just so you folks know, in case you don't know, Media Matters is an organization that likes to take out conservatives. That's what they do. They designate conservatives as, or conservative organizations as terrorist organizations, whatever. And that's what Media Matters does. So it was a Media Matters hit piece that took out Charlie Kirk. And so they're referencing that hit piece and tell their comrades to arm themselves with weapons. The post echoes the Antifa belief that if you speak with a Nazi, you are also one and should be subject to death. So there's a lot here. I mean, there is, of course, the online radicalization that we've been talking about for days now. There's the Antifa aspect of this. Donald Trump wants to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. You have that aspect of it as well. We are finding out more about some of these Salt Lake City-based Antifa groups, or trans Tifa, whatever you want to call them. I've got some of that coming up as well. There's also the relationship between the suspect and the boyfriend. And what I would say is the grooming, because I think that's what happened. I think that this guy, he was groomed by the boyfriend, the trans boyfriend, the furry-loving boyfriend, and all of these organizations. I think my own personal opinion is that this guy was groomed. His family says he took a very sharp and quick turn to the left. Gotta run. 625, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. All the latest on the war between Israel and Gaza, that is Israel and Hamas, that is coming up on Super Talk. And Joan's got the news at 6:30. Joan.
Yeah, we've got a murder mystery in Clarksville. Also, some sweepstakes winners say they have been left broke. Those stories and more coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Clayton Homes. Now, they are in the middle of a huge home sales event that is going on right now, and you can save up to $5,000 instantly on your home purchase at Clayton Homes Sign and Save sales event. Now, I went out to their Dixon location. These are amazing homes, and I got to tell you, you've got to check these homes out if you are in the market. They are customer-focused based, and these homes are really unique and really great. By the way, the Sign and Save sales event, you can save $2,500 on a single-section home, $5,000 on a multi-section home. Now, right now, Clayton Homes, they are changing the way that homes are built. These are affordable homes. They cost less to live in as well. So you can get a home equipped with energy-smart features for year-round comfort and a lifetime of savings. Clayton Homes feature luxury, quality, and the style you deserve. And don't forget that great sale going on right now. Save $5,000 on your next home purchase with Clayton Homes and their Sign and Save sales event. You can also save $2,500 on a single section, $5,000 on a multi-section home. Visit the local Clayton Homes near you or browse their limited time deals at manufacturedhomeoffers.com. That's manufacturedhomeoffers.com. Terms and conditions for the Sign and Save sales event can be found at that same website, manufacturedhomeoffers.com. Available only at participating Clayton Homes family of brands retailers through the end of this month. Amount of savings may be limited. Ask for details. May not be available with certain financing. Lender restrictions apply.
Good morning. It's 6:32. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got a crash for drivers to be aware of. It's in Oak Hill on Harding Place at I-65, right there at the northbound light. Be careful. In 2 days, Memphis is getting help from the federal government to reduce crime. Governor Bill Lee says since seeing how things went in D.C., he's become a fan of getting help from Memphis.
If this is what's going to happen and we're going to get hundreds of people arrested, violent offenders in Memphis, then why would we not engage the Drug Enforcement Agency and the U.S. Marshals Service and the National Guard? Why don't we engage all of these agencies if this is what's going to happen to crime?
Homeland Security will be there, too. Police in Clarksville have a murder mystery on their hands after responding to a call about a dead body in a home yesterday. Channel 4's Danielle Ledbetter.
Crime tape all around this home on Idlewood Drive. This is in Clarksville again. Police responded to calls about a deceased person around 1:30 yesterday afternoon. And when they got to the home, they found 3 dead people inside. Now, police have not said how the 3 people died or how they knew each other.
There is a cash reward for information in this case. Remember the commercials? Publishers Clearinghouse would come to the door with flowers, balloons, and a big check. Well, the company's gone bankrupt, and some winners have been left high and dry.
One man who was promised $5,000 per week for life back in 2012, enough to retire on, telling KGW-TV in Oregon he no longer receives the money he relied on.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose my home.
Gaming platform ARB Interactive acquired the company out of bankruptcy this summer and established a new platform for sweepstakes opportunities. But ARB says it's not responsible for paying out prizes issued by Publishers Clearinghouse before July 15th.
That's ABC's Morgan Norwood. That is the latest traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
637, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Want to get right to the Newsmaker hotline. Say good morning to Brent Sadler, foreign policy analyst with the Heritage Foundation, and our guest. I think this is the first time, Brent, that you and I have spoken. So welcome to Nashville, Tennessee. So a couple of things real quick. First of all, the headline is the United Nations, this is just this morning, is accusing Israel of genocide. Of course, Ted Cruz and others blasting the UN for that accusation. Do you think that Israel really cares about what the United Nations has to say?
No. The credibility of the United Nations of being fair, actually doing, what respectable investigations with regards to the Middle East, specifically in the West Bank, Gaza, and Israel, has been so far beyond the pale that the credibility is about zero. And I think most Americans also have that view because they've seen time and again that the default reaction is anything that Israel does is genocide. Anything that Israel does is illegal, even defending itself.
Israel is moved now into Gaza City. This is also part of the headlines this morning. This is something that they have been wanting to do for a long time and have been in the process of doing. Of course, the news has been mainly Charlie Kirk focused over the past week now. But talk a little bit about what is the state of war right now with Israel in Gaza City. And they've got to figure out, of course, not only where the hostages are, but also how to keep them safe.
Absolutely. Now I think less than 20 that are considered possibly still alive. And of course, Hamas is holding the bodies of many others as hostages too, in a sadistic fashion, to try to extract something out of the Israelis or the West. So the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, have called up reserves and ahead of what you're seeing now, an assault on Gaza City, one of the last bastions or holdouts of Hamas in Gaza. Just surprising it's lasted this long, but it's a highly densely populated area. There are networks upon networks of tunnels underground. So it is slow going. It's perhaps one of the most violent forms of combat. It's close quarters, urban kind of warfare. And they've been going very slow and meticulous about it. But again, the other side of the clock on this for the Israelis is public opinion and political pressure will mount. And right now you've got the UN General Assembly, which is typically a place where a lot of that pressure is played up.
One of the things that Israel does is they drop flyers down to let people know it's time to get out of this area because we're coming in. That is something that is conveniently left out of most of the narratives of the mainstream media, the United Nations as well. But you are talking about thousands of people that do now have to go to someplace else. How easy is that? I mean, where do these people have to go at this point now? Because, let's be honest, most of Gaza, I believe, is destroyed. Is there, I'm sure there's areas that these folks can go, but talk about that aspect of it.
Yeah, so it's hard not being there to characterize, but by all reporting from all sides, it appears that most, if not all, of the buildings are gutted. Most of the people are living in tents. So it's pretty horrific. But again, the party that's responsible for that is Hamas. And yes, the objective is the total destruction of Hamas. So where do these people, millions of Palestinians that are living there, need to go? This is going to be the enduring question of whether a new leadership for the Palestinians that are in Gaza can arise that Israel can trust, can live in peace with, because Hamas is not that. They've proven that time and time again, most notably in October 7th of 2023. But again, the Israelis providing of humanitarian assistance, providing of safety for the families that are largely innocent victims of this war that was launched by Hamas. The enduring peace will be how does Israel deal with that? And it's an open question. It's certainly by not lack of effort, but again, the other side is also trying to keep the people from benefiting from anything that the Israelis can provide in assistance at the same time.
Well, there has been, and I've talked about this before, but there has been aid that has been absconded by Hamas. And so that was part of the conversation, always is part of the conversation, is whether it's Israel, whether it is Europe, whether it is America. There's aid that is going in, but then Hamas ends up, again, absconding with it and selling it there in the black market. Doesn't always reach the people of Gaza. So, yeah, that is a big part of the discussion. One of the things that I think deserves a conversation is we do remember Israel went after Hamas in Qatar. Very controversial. Did put President Trump in a bit of an awkward position. Israel, I don't know, they didn't seem apologetic at all. They're basically saying, listen, if we've got a bunch of Hamas leaders at some place that we know where they are, we're going to take them out, or at least try.
Yes. I mean, we're now 3 years into trying to get negotiations, and the leadership of Hamas is certainly not willing to negotiate in any fashion the release of the hostages, because as the way they see it, when they do that, they're all dead men walking. And that's probably true, but they could end it at least in a peaceful way and save many Palestinians and maybe their own necks in the process. But the longer they delay, that's not a possibility. And it's extremely unhelpful when you have Western nations calling for recognition immediately of a two-state solution. That puts all the pressure on Israel, and it relieves any pressure on Hamas to negotiate. It incites them to continue this fruitless resistance in a war they started.
So last question that I would have is, okay, so if and when this is all over with, President Trump wants to turn Gaza, of course, into some sort of a resort. There's all kinds of questions. What do we do with all of the people that live in Gaza? Where do they go? Do they go to Jordan? Do they go to Egypt? What happens to that land? And I know that we don't have a crystal ball, but that has been a big part of the conversation. Do you see a possibility, Brent? I don't know how old you are, but I'm 57. So in my lifetime, do you see Gaza actually turning into, a sort of resort area?
Well, the important thing is we have an image of what is possible. It was Lebanon back in the 60s and early 70s before the PLO was pushed into, and it agitated religious factionalism inside, and the whole country devolved into chaos. So we know what good looks like. The Palestinians could have the same thing if they so chose it in Gaza. In 2008, they chose to go the way of Hamas, and they're getting they got the government that they deserve, not the one perhaps they wanted in the end of this. But I think there is a potential there. And I think what President Trump is trying to signal is that there's a positive image. Yep. How you get there may not always be the cleanest way. It still have a lot of details and a lot of questions about how to do that. But is it possible? Is it a vision that Palestinians should embrace? I think so, and they should be a part of it.
All right. Always great to talk to you folks at the Heritage Foundation. Brent Sadler is our guest. Brent, always great to have you guys on, and we'll talk to you again soon. It is 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. All right, as far as your weather goes, very warm, plenty of sun today, a high of 92, feeling like 95. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. All right, I got time to fit this in. So we've been talking, and people pointing out, Joan, that the whole trans thing is different than the furry thing. I know that. So right. Trans and for different
fetishes.
Different fetishes.
I don't know if that's the
File
right
that
word
under
either.
words I never wanted to hear Joan say.
I don't get either one of them, but whatever, But and one guy, 4632, one of those pointing that out, and he says, "By the way, I'm not a furry." that was his disclaimer. By the way, trans and furries different. Kind of, I don't know, trying to not stand up for furries, but just point out the difference between trans and furries, and talking about how they are inherently different, of course. And he's disclaimer, I'm not a furry, which is fine. Now, talking about Antifa. Now, in the last couple of days, I've brought up a couple of different of these organizations in Salt Lake City that some say may have been in on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, our old friend, Michael Patrick Leahy, got some video, if I could. Michael Patrick Leahy, of course, a Tennessee star. He has been looking into some of these organizations as well. And he was on Steve Bannon's War Room, and he talked about one particular organization that the FBI is looking into as well that may have been part of this whole thing. They're looking into it. these are just accusations. The word allegedly has to be thrown out all over the place. But this is what Michael Patrick Leahy, part of what he had to say with Steve Bannon.
We found this group called Armed Queers of Salt Lake City, and they'd held some training just a few miles from the site of the shooting a couple weeks ago.
You're calling them militias. When you say militias, you mean they're armed up and they're taking target practice?
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of, quote, democratic socialist militia groups around the country. There have been a couple here in Nashville. And the FBI now has this group under scrutiny. The founder of the group has a bizarre background. The Persian dude who purportedly transitioned while in high school got his political start working with, wait for it, David Hogg in 2018 on anti-gun groups, but then quickly became part of a group called Pink Pistols. But they kicked her out, apparently, or him out, apparently, because she was a little bit too radical even for them.
Wow. Too radical even for David Hogg and the Pink Pistols.
Whoa.
According to Michael Patrick Leahy, this person that was head of Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. A little bit more on this.
And so now the group that he founded, Armed Queers for Salt Lake City, is apparently under FBI scrutiny for possible connections.
There you go, Michael Patrick Leahy. And by the way, Andy No, we all know Andy No, posted some of the hateful screed, and I reposted all of this on my social media at Dan Mandis Show. Mentioned a lot of this yesterday as well, but you talk about what Antifa has done, and they've taken over federal buildings, rioted, assaulted, threatened folks, advocated for violence, inspired violence, goes on and on. Ted Cruz and Kash Patel were talking about this in that now infamous hearing yesterday on Capitol Hill. This was a Senate hearing, and Kash Patel, the FBI director, was there. And they were talking about these various organizations. Then Ted Cruz, and remember, I talked to Bill O'Reilly about this yesterday, where Bill O'Reilly is like, Bill said, we got to go after the money. You got to go after the money, and you've got to go after these organizations as well. Because if the shooter was radicalized by some of these folks online, well, then, yeah, you need to go after them as well. This was what Ted Cruz and Kash Patel had to say about this yesterday on Capitol Hill.
Do you believe Antifa is a terrorist organization?
I believe Antifa is associated with a lot of violence in this country. As to its designation, I'll leave that to the appropriate authorities.
So I would encourage the administration to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization, to go systematically after Antifa. They've committed acts of violence all over the country. And the shell casings have multiple references to slogans that Antifa has popularized. I believe there is considerable money funding it. I would note that I've introduced legislation called the Stop Funders Act. Stop Funders Act would add rioting to the list of predicate offenses under RICO. I believe the money should be tracked and prosecuted under RICO. And both the Antifa and Black Lives Matter riots of a couple of years ago and the pro-open border riots in Los Angeles and other cities of this past year, I believe there was significant money behind those riots.
So what Ted Cruz is trying to do is he is trying to pass this legislation so that they can go after not only these organizations, but also, of course, track the money as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. And Kash Patel, by the way, did say that if Cruz's legislation is passed, and we'll have to see what happens, but if his legislation is passed, then they will be able to do a deep dive into the funding, and perhaps that will lead to the folks that are funding these kinds of things, i.e. George Soros, which is what you had Bill O'Reilly talk about yesterday. And this is an ongoing conversation about who is funding not only the riots, but also, these organizations that are radicalizing people like the shooter, the assassin of Charlie Kirk. So we'll continue that conversation and a whole lot more straight ahead. 6:52. And Joan's got the news at 7 o'clock. By the way, Joan.
Yes.
People are asking us to define what a furry is because apparently there's still some folks that don't know what a furry is. So coming up right before the news, we're going to have Joan. We're going to have Joan tell folks what a furry is.
Oh.
But Joan, what's coming up in the news?
Gosh, Dan, thanks.
You're welcome.
What a good guy you are.
I just want to listen. I just want to make sure that you have as much airtime as you deserve.
Yeah, that's what you want to make sure of.
That's what I'm doing.
Uh-huh. All right, so we've got Tyler Robinson's text messages and what that was all about yesterday in court. Also, a hit and run in Nashville on Monday. It was a 13-year-old that got hit this time. We've got details coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here for my friends at Zentex. Now, you know that your bathroom is one of the biggest selling points when it comes to getting your home sold, and Zentex can help you with a huge upgrade and a special price and offer for my listeners. Now, you can upgrade your bathtub with a walk-in shower with grab bars and a bench seat from Zentex. Now, this can help the older folks in your life, and a bathtub redesign can make your bathroom look spectacular. Now, a little bit about Zentex. It is impressive. Family-owned and operated for 25 years. Zentex, they were the 2022 winner of the Better Business Bureau Torch Award for Ethics. And last year, they were voted one of the best places to work in the construction industry. Happy employees mean terrific customer service. That is why I put my trust behind Zentex. Your work is going to be done in a day or less, on time and on budget. Now, right now, a great offer for my listeners. You mentioned Zentex, so you mentioned to Zentex that you heard about them on WTN in my show. You are going to get a free Kohler toilet and get $999 off your bathroom project, or enjoy no interest for 2 years. Whatever works best for you. Find them online, Zintex, Zentex.com. That is Zentex.com. 6:59, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, Jonah, gave you an assignment to tell folks what exactly a furry is. However, you know what I think would be more fun or funner is ask Brian Wilson to define it.
Oh, I so love that idea.
Because Brian is coming up for it's Wednesdays with Wilson, and Brian is coming up. And so instead of making you define, Joan, what a furry is, I think we're going to have a big, long conversation with Brian Wilson about the furry culture.
Yeah, there we go.
Including the litter boxes. Anyway, all that and a whole lot more straight ahead. It is Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 7 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. It's not just Tyler Robinson. FBI Director Kash Patel saying more than 20 people with alleged ties to Robinson on the social media app Discord are also under investigation. Tyler Robinson's texts were front and center in yesterday's court hearing.
Prosecutors saying Robinson texted, "I had enough of his hatred." Robinson also allegedly referred to the gun used as Grandpa's rifle, expressing concern that his father would be upset if it wasn't returned. Authorities revealing it was Robinson's mother who recognized him in the images released after the shooting before she and his father convinced him to surrender.
That's ABC's Lionel Moisey. Channel 4 getting some reaction from tourists after a man went around downtown randomly punching people last month.
That's scary, but the sad thing is I feel like it's happening everywhere now, so I don't think Nashville is immune to that coming from Philadelphia.
We've been down here the last 3 days, and I've seen nothing but police officers, doing their job and everything. They're walking around, stopping people, doing whatever they got to do to help.
23-year-old Kevin Campbell now in custody on a $90,000 bond. Police say that one of the people punched lost consciousness for over a minute after falling and hitting the sidewalk. A 13-year-old now recovering after a hit and run in Nashville on Monday. Channel 4's Alexandria Adams.
Metro Police telling us the teen has a possible broken leg. Witnesses telling police the driver was a woman with red or pink hair and was driving a white Ford Focus or Fusion.
It happened along Shelby Avenue and 5th Street on Monday around 6:30 p.m. 1 week ago today, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. A lot of people have been checking out at their local Starbucks, telling the barista that the name to put on the cup is Charlie Kirk. But apparently that is not okay.
The name is Charlie Kirk.
We can't do political names, but it didn't even ask for a name to begin with, so it's going to be $3.75, okay?
Oh, but can you write the name on the cup?
The sticker won't print.
Oh, you can't write on that?
I could, but I could write Charlie.
Why can't you write the whole name?
Because it's political.
Political?
Yeah.
You know what? Forget it. I don't want it.
Starbucks says it programs its printers to not print political names. It added Charlie Kirk to the names that it won't print since last weekend. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. A report out this morning shows a 60% jump in the number of people refinancing their mortgages now that interest rates have begun to tick down. Stock futures are little changed this morning. That is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 7:03, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here for my window company, Window Nation. And this is a great window company. I've got 4 of their windows in my home, including those 2 in my all-important basement studio. Now, this is where I do my home radio shows. This is also where I do my show prep. And I got to tell you how much I appreciate Window Nation. Now, the colder weather is coming. You need to protect your home ahead of the fall and winter weather. Get replacement windows, energy-efficient windows from my friends at Window Nation. They've got a great deal going on right now for the month of September. You buy 2 windows, you are going to get 2 windows free. Make no payments for 2 years. You won't have to deal with monthly payments, a down payment, or interest until 2027. That's right. They've got an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau and My Family, and they have served over 45,000 5-star reviewed customers. That's right. They've installed over 2 million windows across the country, and you should call them if you need windows as well. Now, don't forget, they do offer that lifetime warranty. And also, don't forget that great deal. Buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free. Make no payments for 2 years. Call them, 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION. Window Nation. This is their most popular offer yet. Schedule a fast and free estimate right now with the pros at Window Nation. 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, windownation.com.
Got a wreck on 24, the westbound side just past Almaville Road, exit 70. Apparently, this one involves 3 vehicles. It is off to the right shoulder, but attracting a lot of attention, of course. You've got 40 headed into Nashville, looking like it's very slow in the approach to the airport this morning. It looks like, though, that's just some volume. And also in the mix is dense fog. Apparently, it's mainly in the northern part of Davidson County. Very poor visibility along Briley Parkway. Careful out there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.707 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you. It is Wednesday, September 17th, and of course it is Wednesday. Brian Wilson, just so you know, Wednesdays at 7, one of my favorite segments of the week.
I'm glad to hear that.
Because I get to talk to you and I get to ask you, Brian, so a lot of people talking about furries these days and how it relates. Now, I know that you, intrepid reporter Brian Wilson, you know all about furries, don't you?
Well, yes, and in fact, I am a furry. I just want to go ahead and get that out there. I have a fursona.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
It's that of a French bulldog. I lay around the house and sleep all day and chew up things that I find on the floor.
Okay, now, since you're a bulldog, that doesn't mean that you have the litter box.
No.
You go outside.
Isn't that the most ridiculous thing, this whole idea?
It is. Because people, real quick, Brian, are asking, what is a furry? And a furry is basically a grown-a adult who puts on an animal costume.
Right.
And has some sort of weird proclivity towards that.
Yeah.
So that's what furries are, just so people know.
That's very troubling.
To me, mentally ill, but whatever. So that is part of this whole conversation because a week after the death of Charlie Kirk, we are finding out more about the suspect and his proclivities. And, you know, we've all been talking about the Antifa angle, the furry angle. Of course, the boyfriend of the suspect is a furry, I guess, and, obviously transgender, all that other kind of stuff. So I'm just going to let you, it's been a week.
Well, let me just say a few things. You know, when this thing broke, I actually came to my studio and was there to assist Matt Murphy in the afternoons when we were just getting the information, and I sort of helped him out a little bit, and when I'm in that mode of a breaking news story, head down, just the facts, ma'am, my Jack Webb sort of mode that I go into, and I always have the emotional reaction on big stories like a day later.
Yeah.
And so, when my head was down and I was just trying to, get through and get the best information and help Matt get the best information we could on the air, I really wasn't thinking so much about the emotional side of this. But it hit me like the next day when I had time to sort of wind down from all of that. And I'm pissed off, and I can't get over being pissed off. This angers me. And what angers me is how the Democrats were doing everything they can to stir up and foment the waters and to cause all this, this consternation, and to accuse us, those of us who might have a different opinion of them, to be conservative, if conservative opinion that's different than theirs. Well, it can't be anything that's less than being a Nazi. You're a Nazi, you're a Hitler, and I'm tired of that kind of stuff being said. It does roil up certain people who are just weak individuals to carry out things like this, and they are responsible for this, and it angers me. It angers me that they have stirred up the water such that there are people now who are willing to carry out, who completely believe this line of BS that they lay down.
Well, and here's the thing, Brian, I know that you've been watching like we all have, that not only, and the audio's out there, and I played, I think it was yesterday, there's all that audio of the left calling for violence, put a bullet in him, and all of those other things, putting a bullet in Trump or whoever it was. And they've been calling for this. The left always likes to talk about dog whistles, right?
Right.
So they've been dog whistling really loud and coming out and saying that they want and expect violence. And so here we go. And then, of course, Brian, as you know, there's all of the people that are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk.
I know. That's just the worst, isn't it? And they can't even understand. I mean, there's an old saying, as long as I was in journalism, is don't speak ill of the dead, first of all. But I mean, there's not much that you can say that's bad about Charlie Kirk. He was a good guy. He was a really good guy, and all they're trying to do is to tarnish his reputation. The big thing that I'm worried about right now with Charlie Kirk, and I'm sort of looking forward a little bit. I don't think we're there yet, but I think it will happen. I mean, one of the things that he wanted to do was go to college campuses, and he wanted to speak to young people, and he was doing it, and he was so effective in the last election. I think that's one of the reasons why he was targeted. He was good at what he did. You can make the case that Charlie Kirk is responsible for Donald Trump's second term.
Yep.
And you wouldn't be far off. I think that's right. He was able to turn around a lot of young, especially male voters, and give them, the information that they weren't receiving. He was countering years and years and years of indoctrination that the left has tried to foist upon people who are in universities. And he was having an effect, and they hate it. That he was able to take something that they had worked on for so long and turn it around in one relatively short period of time and bring people, back to conservatism in a big way. And I think that's why, quite frankly, he's no longer with us. He was effective. He was truly effective. And all of this nonsense about, he was an evil guy. I just don't, I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not going to broker that conversation, because he wasn't. He was a good guy. He was a man who wanted to engage in one of the more noble things we do in America, which was political discourse. What's wrong with that? Can we get back to the point where we can talk about ideas and have differences of opinion without it resulting in violence?
Well, one of the things is, the investigation is ongoing. So now they're talking about how he was involved in this relationship with a boyfriend, furry. They're looking at some of these organizations like Antifa, some of these other kind of organizations, these trans organizations. They're militant trans. I was talking about this in the previous segment. And it's not only in Salt Lake City. I mean, these militant trans organizations are across the country. I guess there's some here in the state of Tennessee as well. So there is a lot more to this story than just, a guy goes crazy and decides to take out Charlie Kirk. There is a lot more to this. There's a lot of layers to this story. And, of course, we've all been talking about this. I know that you've been on this as well. And so the investigation will continue. One of the things I've got I've got Matthew Hurt coming up. I'm going to ask him this same question. I don't like to necessarily talk about politics, but in this storyline. But one of the things that I've noticed is that there are young Americans, rational Americans, who are posting their own videos on TikTok, and they're basically saying, I can't believe the abhorrent behavior, the vile behavior of people on the left, my party. They'll say, I've always identified as a Democrat, but I'm seeing what they're doing and what they stand for and celebrating this death. And they're moving to, the right, or at the very least the center, and they're posting about it on the socials. I'm going to ask you if you believe that this will have a bigger impact. We're going to talk about that straight ahead. Brian, got to check the roads real quick on WTN. Today, as far as your weather goes, plenty of sun, a high of 92, feeling like 95. All right, so Brian, talk about, and somebody on the super text line said, not all Democrats. Okay, fine. I would like to see then the Democrats have an uprising of their own and calling out the people who are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. So,
I would love to see that too.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
And you see a few of them out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Fetterman and has been out there saying some things.
Yep.
But not many other people.
No. Now, let me ask you this, because, again, we are seeing people leave the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Just say, you know what, I'm not going to condemn this. I'm just going to leave.
This may backfire on them in such a big way that they can't bring themselves in this moment where, people are touched by this, and they look at this and they say, this is tragic. And there are a lot of people out there who are, maybe they're Democrats, maybe they're just not all that political, but who look at this and they go, this was wrong. This guy wasn't doing anything wrong, and this is a tragedy, and they've seen his poor widow, and they're worried about his family. And I wonder if it's not a turning point, to use a phrase, of America right now, that this could be a real a changing moment. And I think that the Democrats are going to rue the day that they couldn't just walk in and say, we condemn this was wrong, and we're not for this.
That's all they had to do, man. That's all they had to do.
Yeah.
And here's the problem, though. So there's two things right now. Number one is the video of those Democrats, those lawmakers, and those people commenting on not only social media but on MSNBC and so forth.
We'll see them again.
Those
we'll
videos.
see them again during the re-election effort. I promise you.
Exactly. Yeah. Those videos are not going away, where they were essentially calling for violence. But what also is not going away is all the Charlie Kirk videos. There's thousands of them, Brian. And so the day that he was killed, one of the things that I posted on the socials and I've been advocating for is find your favorite Charlie Kirk video and share it, post it, do whatever you need to do so that those videos and his message don't die. And there's a lot of people, Brian, who are discovering Charlie Kirk for the first time.
Yeah. They may have been generally aware of him, but now they're really focused on him in a bigger way. And when you focus on the things that he said, there was perhaps not a conservative alive who had a better mind than Charlie Kirk. He had this unbelievable mind and the ability to retain information and to go out and forcefully talk about the conservatism and his faith and the nexus between the two. And he was so good that I think people who are just now learning about Charlie Kirk are going to go back and look at some of these clips, and we've seen them all on television in recent days. And I think they're going to have, a very positive opinion about the guy. I think as Charlie Kirk would say, put our ideas out there and the best ideas will win, and we have great ideas. And that's true.
Well, and here's the other thing, and I played a video on this yesterday where you've got some kid who's 19 years old, and he has been hearing for years that Charlie Kirk is a racist and all of these other things, and then he's looking at the videos and he's like, they've been lying to me. They've been lying to me.
Yeah, there's a new poll out there that says that 15% of registered voters believe that Kirk's death was good for America. That's just scary.
That is horrifying. That is horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. Then you have Brian, I want to play this for you. This is, guy's name is Matt Guzman or Guzman?
Gutman.
Gutman.
I think it is, yeah.
And what he's trying to do is he's trying to paint this whole thing as kind of a love story between the suspect and his boyfriend. Listen to this.
We have seen an alleged murder with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate, who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love. So it was this duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case. And on the other hand, he was, speaking so lovingly about his partner. So a very interesting and, as Pierre said, riveting press conference, David.
It was.
You know, what I understand, Brian, is that the Hallmark Channel is now making a love story out of their...
No.
I'm kidding.
Gosh.
But I'm telling you,
Sorry,
I
John.
mean, this guy, I mean, what in the world? And look, and to some degree, when you're in the middle of a situation and information is coming to you and you're trying to process it in real time and you're winging it, sometimes you say things that were stupid. But he doubled down on it. He went way further than you needed to, and it would seem to be almost sympathetic to this shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
now.
well, that's at the network
Tells you
level.
everything
That's
you need
not,
to know about mainstream media.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
not like some small market. I mean, that is.
Yeah.
All right.
This guy's been around. He knows the drill, and that he chose to go that direction is shocking and puzzling. Why would you do that? I have a hard time struggling to understand why you would make that the take that you walked away with after listening to all that you just listened to.
Jerry of Ben and Jerry's has resigned. I didn't know this, Brian, so tell us the story.
Well, Ben and Jerry, the ice cream company, got bought out years ago by Unilever, and they said, "Don't worry, we're going to take over, but Ben and Jerry will still be connected to it, and Ben and Jerry are still going to be Ben and Jerry, and they're still going to do the things that Ben and Jerry do." And of course, they're very liberal, and they take on every liberal cause. Well, and now apparently Unilever is telling them that they can't do certain things, and it has to do with Israel and their position on Israel. You can't do certain things because it's not going to be good for business, and Jerry has quit. He said, "I have to walk away." Well, that's fine with me, but isn't it interesting that even in the world of ice cream, this is becoming a thing where people are finding that the situation is so divisive that they have to walk away. But you know what? This is what's happening with a lot of corporations. They're reassessing the things that and the positions they've held in the past, and the DEI and all of that, and I think it's a good thing. And I'm real sorry that Jerry decides he has to go leave.
What a shame.
Maybe he just gets some chunky monkey and sit down, and he'll feel better after that.
All right, very good. Brian Wilson, 722 on Nashville's Morning News. We've got like 30 seconds. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on real quick?
Yeah, well, only that I just did a 7th district debate the other night on Monday night, and there were 7 of the, I think, 11 Republicans. Whoever gets the Republican nomination, very likely, of course, to be the next congressperson. They're very interesting. There's some good people running, and it was great to work with the Williamson County GOP to put that together, and had a great time. And I think we've got some great people running.
Yeah,
that's the one thing I'm really excited about. There's a lot of people running, but there's some really good candidates amid all that.
All right, Brian, always great to talk, and we'll catch up with you again next Wednesday at the same time, or as news happens. Always great to catch up with.
I'm going to go back to being a fursona bulldog.
Sure, you go a fursona. Very good, Brian. A fursona
Take
of
on
bulldog.
My fursona, yes.
They put that on a hashtag.
All right, Dan.
See ya. Bye. 723 Nashville's Morning News. Did you hear that, Joan?
He did not adequately define a furry.
Oh, did you look it up?
I
listen, you brought it up. You're calling out Brian as not adequately defining a furry. So
can we,
Joan?
go
The floor
back
is yours.
Is there a recording of his description?
I'm sure there is, but we don't have.
There will be
all that. There will be.
A furry is a person who enjoys the concept of anthropomorphic animals, animals with human characteristics, and to identify as part of the furry fandom community.
That was what, Joan?
Anthropomorphic.
Anthropomorphic.
Anthropomorphic. Courtesy of Brian Wilson, who's still listening.
Can I tell you the guy that Elmer Fudd's everything? I'm not even going to try that. All right. It is 7:24. People still giving me a hard time about yesterday. 7:24 on Super Talk, and Joan's got the news at 7:30. Joan?
Yeah, but they love you. The perfect storm that caused Monday's massive gridlock at the airport. Also, what police in Milwaukee discovered in a storage locker. That and more coming up here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 7:25, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. The Wellness Institute of Nashville. My buddies at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, they helped me with my chronic back, neck, and knee pain. They can help you as well. And right now, they've got a great special going on. $12 for a comprehensive exam, x-rays if needed, well-explained diagnosis, and that first treatment. Only $12. That is huge. So if you've got back or neck pain, sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms and legs, fingers or toes, they can help you with their state-of-the-art non-surgical spinal decompression therapy. I went through it. They can help you too. No surgery, no spinal injections, and no painkillers. Call them for that great deal. Again, don't forget comprehensive exam, x-rays, well-explained diagnosis, and that first treatment. $12 available to you right now. 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, painisbad.com.
Good morning, now 7:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. BNA says there was a perfect storm of events that caused that massive Monday gridlock that saw some passengers actually abandoning their cars and walking along Donaldson Pike with their luggage.
Well, TDOT says they had closed a lane for construction earlier in the day, but it reopened around 1:30 p.m., at least an hour before the traffic got bad. They also said their crews responded to help with a crash on Terminal Drive, but it was cleared up by the time they arrived. The Nashville International Airport attributed the issues to an unprecedented surge in rideshare pickups and drop-offs, 8,000 more than a typical Monday. They also said event-related travel contributed between NFL fans leaving and convention-goers arriving.
That's WSMV's Braden Ross. BNA says for now it's best to arrive even earlier than usual to catch a flight. Police in Milwaukee got a strange request when they arrived on the scene of a storage facility at 1:30 in the morning.
Police are on scene requesting a forced entry. They believe a baby is locked in one of the storage lockers.
The audio courtesy of Broadcastify. In fact, there were 6 children ranging in age from 2 months old to 9 years locked inside. None of them were hurt. A man and a woman were taken into custody, but police aren't saying if they're the parents. We've got more on this as it becomes available. This is the day that Wall Street has been waiting for as the Federal Reserve makes a big move.
The central bank is expected to cut interest rates today for the first time this year. For the typical American, that could mean paying less on car loans and credit cards, even as your savings accounts take a hit. Today's move coming as more data shows a slowdown in the job market.
That's ABC's Perry Russum reporting. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Ahead of that rate cut this morning, the Dow futures are plus 35, but the NASDAQ futures are down 12. S&P futures minus 3. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 7:33, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here with a question for you. If your roof was destroyed in a storm, how much of that replacement cost would your insurance company cover? I got to tell you, a lot of people have been ripped off by their insurance company because they didn't know what the policy was. Now, if you don't know, you do need to ask, because a reminder, some insurance companies refuse to pay full replacement cost. They're going to deduct money for an older roof, and this means that the insurance company will depreciate how much they pay for your roof claim. If you've got an older roof, they're going to pay you less, and that could leave you on the hook for thousands of dollars. Now, my friends at King & Associates Insurance, they will pay full replacement costs. So whether you have to replace a 10-year-old roof or a 2-year-old roof, they will pay for it to be replaced, period. It is that kind of focus on customer service that makes King & Associates Insurance one of the best insurance companies around. Call them at 615-329-8121, 615-329-8121. Always tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Get that royal review, tkinginsurance.com. Dan Mandis here at 7:35. Matthew Hurt is coming up next. You know, the weather in Middle Tennessee can get crazy, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Super Center. They are the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Get a free quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. The Generator Supercenter does feature expert installation and 24-hour monitoring. Now, what that means is they're not going to leave you in the dark, because when the power goes out in your neighborhood, your power is going to be on thanks to the Generator Supercenter. They do have financing available. 615-879-1952. 615-879-1952. Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com.
Got a crash in White House on 65 in the southbound lanes past Bethel Road. And it looks like there's some dense fog this morning for a lot of folks, especially along Briley Parkway, north of the northern part of Davidson County, included in that dense fog advisory this morning. Careful as you're traveling out there. We do have delays on 24 heading westbound into Nashville this morning. Looks like it's just normal volume at this point. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.738 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matthew Hurt, a grassroots political analyst, is joining us. Matthew, I know that you were in town last weekend, assuming you are back in Washington, D.C. at this point, in Virginia?
Back in Washington, D.C., Dan, following the news of obviously all of the fallout of the Charlie Kirk assassination last week, but back at the helm at Leadership Institute, helping people get jobs in conservative public policy, which is exactly one of the things Charlie Kirk worked on at Turning Point USA.
Well, and absolutely, and you and I have spoken about this many times, and I do want to remind folks, and you had a great interview, an appearance with Matt Murphy last week, talking about just this. What did Charlie Kirk stand for? I mean, I think you spoke to us the day after his assassination, right? That you worked alongside of him, you knew him, and part of what you do, a big part of what you do, is try to find the future conservative leaders of America, which I think is a great deal of what Charlie Kirk was doing as well.
You know, one of the coolest things, Dan, is when Charlie Kirk was 18 years old, he came to Leadership Institute in Arlington, Virginia, and spent an entire day with our founder and president, Morton Blackwell, learning how to start a nationwide youth organization. And from its inception, from its very first chapter, all the way to AmFest and everything they do on campuses today, Leadership Institute works hand in hand with them. We just issued a statement last week saying that we are standing side by side with our friends and family at Turning Point. And I have received on X just a ton of DMs of people who are now familiar with Turning Point and they want to know how to get plugged in. And that is so cool to see. Even over the weekend, my sister, who lives in Murfreesboro, who's not especially political, she said, I reached out to Turning Point to get more involved. So in this tragedy, we have a tremendous opportunity to continue a movement and to honor Charlie in a way that allows people to share their faith and their commitment to America's greatness.
There's so many things to talk about with Charlie Kirk, and I think that this is one of those moments where you talk about the assassination. I've been covering the investigation all morning long, and we've got to look at this, and we've got to hold the person accountable. We also have to look ahead. We've got to look forward, which is part of what you do in trying to find those future leaders of America. I think that when you start to look at all that led up to all of this, I think that there's a number of things that, and I just mentioned this with Brian Wilson in the previous segment, is you've got all of the dog whistling for violence from the left. Those videos are not going to go away. We have, of course, the celebration that we've seen as well. And I've played a number of different videos of people, and I've seen a bunch where they've literally left the Democrat Party. They've left the party because of that abhorrent behavior. And I think that at the end of the day, we are going to see a lot more people that are red-pilled, that realize really what the Democrat Party these days seems to stand for. And I do understand not all Democrats are out there celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. But what I'm not noticing is a wave of condemnation from that side of the aisle on those people that are celebrating his assassination.
You know, I don't think it's a majority of Democrats, but we do have numbers that we can look at, and Brian Wilson mentioned it in the last segment. According to YouGov, 24% of very liberal respondents said it is acceptable for people to cheer on a political opponent's death. 24%. As compared to only 7% of 3% of very conservative. And on liberal, it is 10%. So 10%. 1 in 10 liberals say it's okay to be happy about a public figure's death, whereas only 4% of conservatives. It is not a both sides issue. Greg Gutfeld had an excellent takedown earlier this week of that silly argument. But we do have some numbers to back it up. And I think, you know, it is unfortunate that is the dichotomy, the diversion from conservatives who largely don't cheer on the death of political opponents to liberals who at a rate 6 times higher do. There is a silver lining, though. I did have an hour-long conversation on Monday night with somebody that I was vehemently opposed to at Middle Tennessee State University. He was a labor organizer, a socialist, a member of Students for a Democratic Society. He and I have kept in touch over the years. And he called me. He said he watched Erica Kirk's comments over the weekend with his wife, and he just collapsed in tears, seeing that Charlie had been assassinated for his political views, for literally going on to college campuses and letting people speak to him. So I'm cautiously optimistic that this reaction from the left is going to cause, overwhelmingly from the left, is going to cause a greater reaction from decent Americans who don't always think about politics.
Absolutely. And let's also not forget not to, keep piling on here. But remember that thing out of, I think, was it Rutgers University, where the preponderance of Democrats seemed to be okay with assassination culture. Remember, talked about assassinating Elon Musk, assassinating Donald Trump as well. I mean, that reverberated with me, and I've been talking about that for the last couple of days because it does remind me, Matthew Hurt, just of that mindset. Moving on to, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Those numbers are insane as well. The justification for murder of Elon Musk and Donald Trump, left of center respondents, 50% for Elon Musk and 56% for Donald Trump. And so it is this preponderance of assassination culture and then making it okay by celebrating it on college campuses, by celebrating it on social media. It then makes it more palatable for more people. Once you've affirmed a viewpoint and you've made it popular, then the people who start tuning in later begin to adopt that viewpoint. It's absolutely outrageous.
All right, going to get to some other headlines coming up. 7:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. Today, as far as your weather goes, a lot of sun, a high of 92, feeling like 95 here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so apparently Trump is in Britain. What's he doing overseas?
It's a second state visit, unprecedented second state visit. I am not sure what all is being discussed over there, but of course we saw over the weekend protests both from conservatives, and they chanted Charlie, and also leftists. There seemed to be something going on in the culture in Britain as well.
Oh, there's a lot going on with the culture in Britain, and you've got all the issues there in the UK with the immigration, the illegal immigration, whatever you want to call it over there, that really has transformed the United Kingdom. I mean, we can talk about the failure, the refusal of these Muslims, all these rampant Muslims' refusal to assimilate. And basically, part of what they've been doing is they've been telling people that live in the UK, you will bend to our rules for society. So, yeah, that is a whole big conversation. One of the things I thought was interesting, and this came out last night, I guess, is President Trump has now announced that the Republicans will have a sort of a convention, if you will, heading into the midterm elections, as opposed to just doing it during the presidential election. He says now they're going to have a big convention to get some excitement going into the midterm elections. And I think there's a lot of excitement right now with the Republican Party. But what do you think about that?
You know, this is a pretty exciting thing. We have not seen this from either major political party. Decades ago, 100 years ago, a lot of political party activity was conducted at conventions, state conventions and national conventions. This is an opportunity. If you're looking for ways to engage the grassroots, to engage the people who make these elections happen, who go out and knock on doors and who support candidates in their neighborhoods and communities, this is a really cool way to do it. And it is classic Donald Trump, you know, a big production, a big show, and I think that will resonate with rank and file grassroots Republican volunteers, the people who actually drive the party. And the party isn't, you see ads on TV, there are millions of dollars raised, but the people who actually connect with voters are those grassroots activists, many of them listening to a station like this, who would be very enthused and excited about an opportunity to participate in something like this.
I got to tell you, we have the special election, the 7th congressional district, and we have at least 4 really, really good candidates. I would be happy with any of the top 4 that are out there. We have a definite bench. A Republican Party, whether it is local here in Middle Tennessee and Tennessee or at the national level, we absolutely have a bench, and I think that we have some great times ahead for the Republican Party. Conversely, I guess, though, part of the question that I would have is the economy. You can spin the economy any way you want. You can talk about the stock market. You can talk about consumer confidence. You can talk about spending. You can talk about inflation. A lot of different ways to spin the economy. I know that you have not been a fan of tariffs. We're seeing a lot of money via tariffs coming into our economy. And you can talk about the job rate as well. All of those things is up for discussion. But, you know, as it relates to the midterm elections, based on what we know right now, and granted, we got a long ways away before the midterm elections, but where the economy is right now, what do you think it will have as far as an impact on the midterms?
You know, I think I'm looking at the cost of the price of eggs. Again, most voters are thinking about this with their own bank accounts as they plan out the family budget at the kitchen table, as they go to the grocery store, as they make the mortgage, as they consider buying a car or spending. You know, we've got the Christmas season is coming up, and people will start to spend on gifts and other things, and so that is where it's going to hit most voters. Most voters are not ideologues; they're not outright partisans, and they're thinking about this through the lens of their own family budget. And things seem to be going pretty well. I mean, I looked at I've got a minimal investment through Robinhood, and of course, this is not investment advice, but the things that I've invested in seem to be doing pretty well. And I think that those are the decisions. Again, any of that can turn on a dime. We did see the price of eggs dropped it was at its peak in February. So that was 6-7 months ago. And it's dropped now to back down to 2020, 2021 prices. And so anything can happen in 6 months and 8 months and 9 months. But right now, I think we're in a good place. And I also think the things that are happening at the cultural level, again, this tragedy with Charlie Kirk it is a horrible thing, but to have millions more Americans going to church, to have people reaching out and being interested in starting Turning Point chapters, to have people thinking about these things through the lens of what it means to be a decent American is going to pan out pretty well for conservatives and for Republicans.
Let me ask you, so I'm debating whether or not I want to go down the road of Candace Owens. In case you don't know, and people who listen to me know that I struggle with Candace because I used to be a big fan of hers. But there is the broiling massive controversy online about Candace Owens. And she is coming out now. She's being really critical of Israel, stopping short of accusing Israel of taking out Charlie Kirk. But she's going after Israel for putting a lot of pressure on Charlie Kirk. And, you know, this whole concept that she is really blasting Israel, blasting Benjamin Netanyahu after the death of Charlie Kirk. And there's a lot of things that she's saying about Charlie Kirk's inner circle. And Charlie Kirk's inner circle, what she's saying about this whole situation, Charlie's inner circle, including his producer, is saying that none of these things that Candace Owens is saying about, you know, Israel putting pressure on Charlie Kirk and, you know, pulling donations and all of these things is untrue. And so I guess my question is, I don't know, how much do you put into the credibility of Candace Owens at this point?
Well, I mean, if you look at Candace Owens' record, she's had an axe to grind against Israel for a while, and it seems Tucker Carlson is in on that right now as well. Bill Ackman, who is seen as pro-Israel, held a fundraising event in the Hamptons some time ago with Charlie, and he has released a couple of statements on X, basically saying that all of the attendees are welcome to talk about what was talked about there. I've seen that in the narrative. Charlie Kirk's pastor, though, issued a statement over the weekend or in the last couple of days and said, you know, Charlie never said an untoward word about Candace, even though he disagreed with her from time to time, and tried to redirect focus on the assassination of Charlie and what to do in the wake of that. And I think that is the prudent place to go. And you know, I think federal investigation will take place in Utah. I do think the text messages seem like they probably had a conversation about what to text back and forth before the text messages took place to kind of deflect from the furry who was the roommate. Right. And but I think that we should be focused. What can we do about this? What can your listeners do about it? We can go out and embody the message of Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk by engaging our neighbors and being proud Americans. And that's what I'm focused on now.
Yeah, I did a whole. So here's my conundrum, right? I did a whole thing at 2:00 in the morning on the Candace Owens accusations against Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and you know all of the pressure that was placed on Charlie Kirk and the pulling of donations and all of these things. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, this is a woman who was accusing Emmanuel Macron's wife of being a dude. So do I really want to go down this road? I don't know. I feel like my airtime is pretty valuable. So I don't know if I should go down that road or not. So anyway, Matthew Hurt, we got about 30 seconds. Anything else that I should, that you want to say as far as this segment goes?
You know, I think it is up to us to be out and to make the case for America's greatness. There is a special election in Tennessee 7. I was up in Tennessee 7 over the weekend handling some family matters, and I saw signs all over the place. Your listeners have an outsized ability to make an impact, to make this country a better place, and we have to do it. We do it by going to church. We do it by engaging with our neighbors. We do it by getting involved in the political process and by being decent human beings, and I think that's what we should all go out and do.
All right. Thank you very much, Matthew. How can people find you on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter or X at Matthew Hurt, MattheWHurtt.
All right, 7:54, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. I don't know, Joan and Sam, should I go ahead and do my segment on Candace Owens? Like, what do you folks think? Should I go ahead and do that, or should I do something else?
I think if for no other reason, Dan, a lot of people hear about what Candace Owens is saying or
so maybe
how she's framing it. But what you could do is kind of give the context. Help us all understand what it is and where she's coming from.
All right, so I'll explain it because I've got all this audio and everything. I worked really hard on the segment, so I don't. So without giving it any kind of credibility or whatever, because here's the deal, is that some of the stuff that she's saying is true. Some of the stuff that she is saying is true. And so people are saying online that she is trying to implicate Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel in this horrible thing that happened. I don't believe that that's what she's doing. I think that I think that a number of different things can be true. So, all right, I'll go ahead and I'll do the segment coming up at in the 8 o'clock hour. Right now, 7:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737 WWTN. Joan, what do we got coming up?
Well, we have the president and the first lady's visit in the UK, and also a little bit of drama before they left. We'll explain coming up here in the news at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. And 7:56, Center Gen X and Low T Center. Now, they have been changing the lives of men across the country for over a decade. Now, it's not just talk, it is true. As a matter of fact, you can find people all over the place singing the praises of the Low T Center. Now, what do? Well, let me tell you something, guys. If you've been thinking about testosterone, or if you've noticed that you're getting older, more tired, not motivated to do anything, it's not just aging. It is a physical and mental change to your body. Testosterone can actually help. Now, Center Gen X and Low T Center, or TRT, they can help you with testosterone therapy. Do better at work, love, and the gym as well. Center Gen X and Low T Center have clinics conveniently located around town. You've got the power to choose if you want to be treated at the clinic or if you want to receive at-home treatment. Either way, it all starts with a quick test at the center. So, what are you waiting for, guys? Just imagine how much better you'll feel when you take back your health, restore your energy, and get on with the rest of your life. Book your appointment today at fixmylowt.com. You'll be wishing that you did it sooner. Fixmylowt.com.
Good morning. It's now 8:01. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Cade Cothran will spend 30 months in prison. The chief of staff for former Speaker of the House, Glenn Cassada, sentenced yesterday, although he hasn't begun that sentence quite yet.
When he's released, he's going to be under a 1 year of supervised probation. Cothran also has to pay $25,000 in a fine. Cassada has not been sentenced yet, but it could happen next week.
That's Channel 4's Alexandria Adams. Cothran and Cassada were convicted in May on corruption charges. The Democrat leaders in Congress are saying no way to the short-term government funding bill that Republicans have put forth. It keeps the lights on through November 21st. If it makes it to the Senate, that bill needs 7 Democrats to vote yes. Senate Majority Leader John Thune.
I'm hopeful that they'll come to their senses and there'll be enough Democrats out there who consider Senator Schumer's advice, which I think he's getting from online trolls and activist groups, which he shouldn't be listening to, that they'll conclude that that's really bad advice and work with us to keep the government open.
Now, the short-term funding bill provides more money for security for the Supreme Court, government officials, and local police departments. Happening this morning, President Trump and First Lady Melania in England. It is their second state visit there, which is a rare honor. President Trump and King Charles inspecting the Guard of Honor at Windsor Castle. ABC's Karen Travers has more.
President Trump and the First Lady have begun their state visit to the United Kingdom, arriving at Windsor Castle and greeting King Charles, Queen Camilla, and the Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Kate. With this visit, the president becomes the first elected political leader in modern times to be hosted for 2 state visits by a British monarch, having already been hosted by the late Queen Elizabeth II in 2019. The Guard of Honor at Windsor will be the largest ever organized for a state visit. The president will also be greeted by a joint U.S.-British flyover of F-35 fighter jets. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
And there was some drama in the skies as Air Force One departed the U.S. for the U.K. yesterday. Apparently, a Spirit Airlines flight flying over Long Island got a little too close to Air Force One. Listen to this as an air traffic controller alerted those pilots.
Pay attention, Spirit 1300, turn 20 degrees right. Spirit 1300, turn 20 degrees right now. Spirit Wings 1300, turn 20 degrees right immediately. 20 degrees right. Pay attention. Spirit 1300, traffic's off your left wing by 8 miles, 747. I'm sure you can see who it is.
Yeah, you can see who it is. Afterward, the air traffic controller told the pilot to get off the iPad. Spirit Airlines says the planes were never at what the FAA would consider an unsafe distance. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. We've got the Dow Futures plus 50 right now. NASDAQ Futures down 8, S&P Futures minus 2. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. It's a crash and jolt in Clarksville Pike, south of Eaton's Creek Road. Also an accident in Laverne on 24, the westbound side before Waldron Road, and 2 right lanes are blocked by it. That'll cause some big delays. Hermitage Central Pike at Brandell Road, that's a crash scene too, and some reports of heavy fog in some spots this morning, especially northern Davidson County. Watch it as you travel. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.808 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so I want to talk about the whole Candace Owens controversy, and I'm just going to play the audio. I'm going to comment along the way, but essentially, what it seems like she is doing is she is blasting Benjamin Netanyahu, blasting Israel, and blasting supporters of Israel for going after Charlie Kirk, obviously when he was alive, as he was having some second thoughts or some concerns about how the war was playing out in Israel. And so when that happened, when he started having some second thoughts, he got attacked by a lot of, he has said this, by the way, Charlie Kirk has said this, pro-Israel forces. And so I'm going to play this audio from Candace Owens. This was yesterday. And as typical Candace Owens style, she's not taking any prisoners. Listen.
Charlie was at that moment. He says that he is receiving messages calling him an anti-Semite. So how can you lie right now and dispute it? And better question, why are you lying? I don't like little lies. I'm being contacted by a lot of people that are telling me at just within 48 hours before Charlie passed away, his top Jewish donors were pulling funding from him, demanding that Charlie take their name off of the building that they had donated to Turning Point. I guess I can figure out who that is, how many people could have donated a building. And then once Charlie was killed, they said, never mind, put it back on the building. Okay. Charlie himself had alluded to a tremendous loss of money coming in, and we'll speak about that more. More people are going to come out with information. This is all inevitable. Okay.
All right. So Charlie Kirk has always been incredibly, and I mean incredibly pro-Israel. And you can do, like, both things can be true. You can be pro-Israel and also question the constant support of the war. I mean, I believe that you can. You can tire of supporting Israel. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have such concerns. I'm a very big supporter of Israel. But if there's somebody who also says, I'm getting tired of the war, please tell me how this is, pro-America and so forth, I totally get that too. Like, I can see that perspective too. So pro-Israel, of course, you believe that Israel is simply defending itself. But, some people say, and Charlie has said this, that he had begun to question where this whole thing was going. Now, realize the people that are saying this, by and large, have been anti-Israel, right? The people that have been going after Israel and the war are anti-Israel. You don't see a lot of conservatives, and certainly not a lot that are to the point of fame that Charlie Kirk was, being so pro-Israel, but also questioning where this war was going. Now, certainly Candace Owens is somebody who is not a fan of Israel. I mean, her distaste and disgust for Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu, I mean, this has been a long-going thing with her. So people are just saying, oh, this is Candace Owens being Candace Owens. And she put Benjamin Netanyahu on full blast. This is more from Candace Owens.
And I'll also point you in this direction. You guys remember Bibi recently was on a PR blitz, despite the fact that he was, fighting this 96,000 front war because Israel didn't do nothing. Okay. He was doing a ton of podcasts in America, He went on to Patrick Bet-David's podcast. He went on to Brendan Tatum's podcast. He went on to the Nelk Boys podcast. Anybody find it weird he didn't do Charlie Kirk's show? Homie very quickly told us that Charlie was penning love letters to him in May. I just love you so much. It's amazing. They were so close. The boys just hits him up like, hey, I know we're fighting this 97,000 front war because we're always the victims, but do you want to just come and maybe stay at my place for the weekend here in Israel? Like, that's the vibe that Bibi was rushing to present to the media. So why didn't he do Charlie Kirk's show?
So that's more. And again, you could just tell, I mean, she is oozing in anti-Israel sentiment, which, by the way, is her right. So now people in Charlie's camp are pleading with her to stop. Ian Miles Chung, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but he is saying that a lot of this that she is alleging is simply not true. In the next cut that I'm going to play, she basically says that the Jews, and I'm putting that in air quotes, right, are trying to take over or were trying to take over Turning Point. I'm going to play this and let you decide for yourself.
It feels, and I'm using a corporate term here, a bit like a hostile takeover, okay? Charlie builds the company organically on the basis of Charlie and Charlie's honest ideas. Suddenly, that company's got a lot of money, and Charlie's honest ideas are starting to change or maybe add more color. And now he's getting financial threats. He's being called names. He increasingly, he's being told who and what he's allowed to speak to, and he's taking a stance. He's taking a stand privately up to these people, and then it doesn't matter anymore because Charlie's dead, and those very same people who were pressing him are now doing, like, very quickly trying to set in stone that, Charlie, essentially the energy is Charlie died for Israel. He's just one of us. Nobody ask any more questions. That is literally untrue, and we're not going to allow it. Okay.
So people are calling Candace Owens, a grifter and all of these other things. And again, this guy, Ian Miles Chung on the socials. Candace Owens, he says, has officially broken the sound barrier of conspiracy. It's not enough to hint or just ask questions. He says she is shamelessly insinuating that Charlie Kirk was murdered by the Jews so that they could seize Turning Point USA. And the proof, he says, her common sense. That's it. He says no evidence, no sources, just the same trust me, everyone is telling me privately routine that she always pulls. There is no doubt that Charlie Kirk was pro-Israel. There is also no doubt that there were times when he held a debate, if you will, talking about the pros and cons of, America's support of the Israel-Gaza war, the Israel-Hamas war. So he had some concerns. And so the allegation is, by Candace Owens, is that because of those concerns that Benjamin Netanyahu and his supporters came in and essentially were threatening Charlie Kirk. You had donors, they say, that were pulling donations and so forth. And people within Turning Point are saying that's not true. Charlie's inner circle, Charlie's producer, is out there now saying that this is not true. Joel Berry is over at the Babylon Bee, managing editor, and was a friend, apparently, of Charlie Kirk. And he posted this. Charlie Kirk's pastor, Rob McCoy, asked a few of us to pass along his statement about the Candace Owens mess. He says, Charlie Kirk was my friend and I was his pastor. I want to simply say this regarding Candace Owens. Charlie Kirk was a friend to Candace, never publicly spoke poorly of her, though he disagreed with her. He never operated nor entertained gossip or innuendo concerning Candace Owens. He says, my only comment I offer regarding Candace is this. I only wish at this tragic time of mourning, she would be the friend to Charlie that he was to her. He would never have treated Candace or her family in such a way had, God forbid, this tragedy been hers. So you have a lot of people that knew Charlie Kirk, that loved Charlie Kirk, that worked with Charlie Kirk, that are saying that what Candace is doing is basically gravy training off of his death and inserting her in a place where she should not be going, and particularly at this point in time. Now, I'm going to play some audio from Charlie Kirk when he was on with Megyn Kelly about his experiences that I believe this is what Candace Owens is talking about, because there is some, and I don't know how much, but I see where she's going with this. And when you hear Charlie Kirk on with Megyn Kelly, then you will say, oh, I kind of see it. So details straight ahead. 8:16, time to check the roads on WTN. (8:18) Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line, by the way, is open and not surprisingly very active with with this segment. Love or hate Candace, and I knew that I was going to get roasted on this either way. What were you saying you have, because one of the things that Candace Owens did was she talked about Bill Ackman and about how Bill Ackman was trying to persuade Charlie Kirk.
Oh, she didn't say persuade.
Okay, what did she say?
Persuade would have been, she said pressured.
Pressured,
and
okay.
persuade would have been the proper term. So Ackman released a big, long form post on X yesterday addressing those accusations by Candace Owens. And then Charlie's producer, I forget his first name, last name Colvey, he confirmed Ackman's account of this and his relationship with his old boss. And so directly from the producer, I have been asked about Bill Ackman's event more than a few times now, so I asked our staff who were traveling with Charlie to find out what's true and what's not. His team was with him 100% of the time when he wasn't in his hotel room. Here's what they told me. Bill never yelled at Charlie, never pressed him on Bibi, never gave him a list of Charlie's offenses against Israel. There was concern raised about having Tucker at SAS. We don't believe that came from Bill. And Charlie's reply was, honestly, people telling me not to have Tucker makes me want to have Tucker, and I'm going to lock him in.
And here's the deal. Then that SAS, I believe that was the event where they were going to have both sides, because that's what Charlie Kirk was about. Mm-hmm. Both sides. And there's nothing, so I'm not getting upset, but there's nothing wrong with being pro-Israel and stepping back and saying, are we still on the same page?
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing wrong with that.
And to try and place potential motive on Israel, that because Charlie had questioned the methods, somehow he was going to make millions of other Americans believe that as well, and that was going to blow back on Israel in a negative way is kind of crazy.
And there was a word of $150 million donation or bribe, whatever you want to call it, to Turning Point so that he would effectively shut up about Israel. That was one of the accusations as well. And people are saying that's not true. Other people are saying it is. Bill Ackman there is apparently saying that it is not true. But I want to make sure that I get this in, because I just played you the audio of Candace Owens, where she is talking about the pressure that Charlie Kirk was on regarding all of this. Because don't forget, Turning Point USA, they are about donations. And so if you're talking about reservations about where Israel is going, and if you're talking about where you love Israel, you support Israel, but you're showing concerns. And then all of a sudden you are getting all of this blowback, which is what Charlie Kirk was getting. Then I see where Candace Owens is going here. Now, I'm not anywhere near, please trust me when I say, I'm not advocating for Candace Owens and her position on this. I'm not. But I'm trying to just give you all of the perspective here so that you understand. And I, of course, I'm getting blasted for it, but whatever. So this is Charlie Kirk on with Megyn Kelly. Both had their reservations about what was going on in the Middle East. Charlie Kirk was on Megyn Kelly's show, and they spoke about what was going on with him and her and the blowback they were getting for talking about their reservations regarding what was going on in the war between Israel and Hamas.
The behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, The way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning biblical Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I honor the Shabbat, literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, why are you? What am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here. Like, I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But like some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megan, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's
been
almost
so
as if
unfair.
you,
they were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
Though. Yep. No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the 5th time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this.
Right. And so one of the things that they wanted to do was they wanted to keep Tucker Carlson off of either the TP USA events and basically they wanted Charlie Kirk to cut ties with Tucker Carlson because he has had a lot of issues with Israel as well and how the war is going. And apparently Charlie Kirk refused. So now basically what's going on is you've got all of these people that are insiders or what have you that are chiming in with all of this. And I don't know what the truth is. I don't. I'm just trying to tell you the story. Because I'm just going to tell you, I'm not a big fan of Candace Owens. But I'm also just trying to give you the perspective of what in the world is going on with this. Because hearing Charlie Kirk's story and Megyn Kelly's story does give you a bit of perspective into what Candace Owens was saying. But I would also say that for Candace Owens, a lot of people are accusing her of intimating that Israel took out Charlie Kirk. A number of things can be true. Charlie Kirk may have been getting a lot of pressure and clearly was getting a lot of pressure from Israel and their advocates. That's number one. Number two, it is also true, or could be true, that a mentally ill guy out of Utah with his, furry-loving trans boyfriend and all of those activist groups like Antifa and so forth, the terrorist groups that were, plotting against Charlie Kirk, took him out. So all of those things can be true. I want to play one more audio bite from, and I know I'm running late, but I think this is important. This is one more audio bite of Charlie Kirk talking about what he was going through when he was dealing with all of the pressure. There's also people online that are saying, by the way, that during this interview with Megyn Kelly, and you can hear the stress in Charlie Kirk's voice. There are people online that are saying, who knew Charlie Kirk, that he, at this point in time, will you look up when this interview was for me, Sam? Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk. What was the date of this interview? They say that Charlie Kirk at this point in time was fearing for his life.
But then all of a sudden, like, I host a person that I moderate the debate of, mind you, right? And I give equal time to Josh Hammer, equal time to a pro-Israel advocate, and my moral character is being put into question. And so I think it's a hyper paranoid, like, we're just going to try to, we're going to just stamp out everything type of practice. But it goes to the point where, if, for example, if I have less ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government without backlash than actual Israelis do. And that's really, really weird, isn't it, Megan?
Yeah, so I have tried really hard to give both sides on this. Send your hate mail to 615-737-9986. But I think that it is an important story to be told, and we'll see where this whole thing goes. But it is clear that Charlie Kirk, did you find that date of that interview? Super texters, what is the date of that interview? Let's see if we can figure out when that interview was. I think it was several months before his assassination. 827 on Super Talk 99.7. Mark Spain Real Estate. Listen, you can skip the hassles of a traditional home sale and sell your home quickly with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. No showings, no open houses, and no stress. Now, I always recommend Mark Spain Real Estate to my friends and family here in Middle Tennessee because I know that they are going to sell their homes and your home hassle-free with a strong all-cash offer. As a matter of fact, Mark Spain Real Estate is the #1 most reviewed real estate company in America with over 13,000 five-star reviews. You can trust my friends to sell your home fast and, yes, for maximum profit as well. Mark Spain Real Estate has been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years, and they've served over 72,000 satisfied clients. Mark Spain Real Estate sells up to 4 homes every single hour, making them the most experienced real estate team in America. Call them and tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 855-299-SOLD. That's 855-299-SOLD. Get your guaranteed offer today. There's no obligation. 855-299-SOLD. The website, markspain.com. Go there and start packing. Dan here for Contours. Listen, we still got some swimming pool weather left, but if you want to tighten up for the holidays, listen, my friends at Contours, they can help you with their world famous these days Belly Buster specials. Now, you can get one right now. $99 is what you're going to get if you're one of the first 10 callers right now. That phone number is 615-236-9960. Now, those Belly Buster specials, what are they? Well, they're cutting edge. It's cutting edge new technology. It's red light technology. It is not only incredibly unique, it is also effective as well. People have been coming from all across Middle Tennessee to check them out at Contours. You can go to their website, see how their belly buster therapy featuring red light technology actually works. That website, contoursllc.com. Take advantage of that end of summer, heading into fall special. First 10 callers right now get that special price of just $99. That Belly Buster special at 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. Find them online anytime, contoursllc.com. All you've got to lose is inches.
Good morning. It's now 8:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. In 2 days, Memphis will get help from the federal government to reduce crime. Governor Bill Lee saying that since seeing how things went in D.C., he's become a fan of getting help for Memphis.
If this is what's going to happen and we're going to get hundreds of people arrested, violent offenders in Memphis, then why would we not engage the Drug Enforcement Agency and the U.S. Marshal Service and the National Guard? Why don't we engage all of these agencies if this is what's going to happen to crime?
Homeland Security will be there, too. Police in Clarksville have a murder mystery on their hands after responding to a call about a dead body in a home yesterday. Channel 4's Danielle Ledbetter.
Crime tape all around this home on Idlewood Drive. This is in Clarksville again. Police responded to calls about a deceased person around 1:30 yesterday afternoon. And when they got to the home, they found 3 dead people inside. Now, police have not said how the 3 people died or how they knew each other.
There's a cash reward for information in that case. Remember the commercials? Publishers Clearinghouse would come to the door with flowers, balloons, and a big check. Well, the company has gone bankrupt, and some winners say they've been left high and dry.
One man who was promised $5,000 per week for life back in 2012, enough to retire on, telling KGW-TV in Oregon he no longer receives the money he relied on.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose my home.
Gaming platform ARB Interactive acquired the company out of bankruptcy this summer and established a new platform for sweepstakes opportunities. But ARB says it's not responsible for paying out prizes issued by Publishers Clearinghouse before July 15th.
That's ABC's Morgan Norwood. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stocks starting out mostly on the plus side here as we are set for the Fed to lower interest rates. The Dow is down. The Dow is up 191 points. NASDAQ is down. It's down 45. And the S&P 500 index plus 1 point. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 8:35, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. You know, my friends at Xfinity, they are great for so many reasons. You know, the other day, I was over at a friend's house, and he's pumped to watch all the football. His setup, though, was indeed a total mess. Lagging, buffering, switching between apps, trying to find the game. Now, he claimed that he was a big fan, but it feels like he had been fan-fished because he didn't have Xfinity. Now, if you call yourself a football fan, you've got to have Xfinity. Now, I've got all the best games all in one place, plus enhanced 4K, so it feels like I'm in the stadium. So next time it's game day, make sure that the big fan isn't a big fail because you need Xfinity. I've got Xfinity, and this is a great company. I've been a customer of Xfinity's for years. To get started, call them 1-800-XFINITY. Find them online, xfinity.com. Drop into an Xfinity store today. Xfinity, the Wi-Fi is booming. 1-800-XFINITY, online, xfinity.com. Or you can drop into an Xfinity store today for more details. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. 8:37, Nashville's Morning News on WTN, the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Listen, don't forget their big special for this month. $12 at Wellness gets you a comprehensive exam, x-rays if needed, well-explained diagnosis, and that first treatment. So listen, if you've got back or neck pain, sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms, legs, fingers, or toes, they can help at the Wellness Institute of Nashville with their non-surgical spinal decompression therapy. No surgery, no spinal injections, no painkillers. Call them to get started. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-246-5009. $12 gets you that comprehensive exam, x-rays if needed, well-explained diagnosis, and yes, that first treatment as well. 615-246-5009, painisbad.com.
It's an accident in Smyrna on 24, the westbound lanes between Sam Ridley Parkway and Waldron Road. 3 separate crashes in that area. That's why it's so slow and still really jammed up after the merge between 24 and 65. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$8:38, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Joan is here.
Hello.
Sam is here. I'm here. Chris is here.
What's up, guys?
I've been called a spreader of conspiracy theories. I've been called an anti-Semite.
I thought you did a good job on that segment.
But thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
Hey, real quick, before we get into that, you know our friend Ron and his son Scrappy?
Yes.
We've met him at a bunch of events.
Yeah.
It's Scrappy's 34th birthday today, so I just want to say happy birthday, Scrappy. One of the best guys I know.
Love you. Always meet them time and again at our events.
Love the name.
They're the best.
Oh, Scrappy's awesome.
Yeah.
Ron is great too. So happy birthday to Scrappy.
But no, going back to this segment, I thought that you did a fantastic job. And I talked about this maybe 2 days ago, or might have been yesterday. I don't know. All my days are melting together, to be perfectly honest with you.
You mentioned it 2 days ago. You went there yesterday, and this story just sort of keeps snowballing. And so what I was desperately trying to do was just explain it.
Yep.
You know? And so 0756 says, your spewing of conspiracy theories is disgusting. He was murdered by the lover of a trans person. I said that.
Yeah.
The Jews didn't kill him. I said that.
And you also said that's what she's inferring, and you don't agree with that.
Right.
Which I'm with you 100%. That being said, I have worked at Turning Point USA.
Yeah.
Yes, the donors place pressure on Charlie.
Yes.
That's how it works.
That's how nonprofits work, folks.
It's been that way. Yes, there was backlash because of Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson.
Right,
that is well documented. Like, that's not even we're not speculating.
Right.
That's in black and white. You can find all that for yourself.
That's the Megyn Kelly where I played the audio of he and Megyn Kelly, which, by the way, was a month ago. I thought it was older than that, where he was talking about the reaction to Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith, and he was the moderator of a debate basically for or against America's support of the war between Israel and Hamas. And in true Charlie Kirk nature, he had both sides. He had Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith on, and Tucker, of course, we all know Tucker is anti-Israel on this. And I don't really know anything, to be perfectly honest, about Dave Smith, but he said in that clip that I played, the amount of crap that he got for simply talking about it. And I think that he is well within his right. Any American is well within their right. By the way, me included. We're well within our right to talk about the pros and cons of what is going on in Israel. Now, I happen to be 100,000%, you might disagree, and that's fine, but I'm 100,000% with Israel on this because I believe that the attack a couple of years ago was just so horrendous that Israel needs to do what it needs to do to root out Hamas. That being said, I totally get the other side.
I mean, I don't think this is even like a war with Israel versus Hamas topic so much. The fact of the matter is, yes, he would get pressure from donors when he would have people that said things that the donors don't like on stage.
Yeah.
When he had Candace Owens at an event a few years ago after she had made some Israel comments, they had to, and this is public record. I don't want to tell tales out of school, and I love everybody at Turning Point, but they had to make a landing page about how Charlie was pro-Israel on the website.
Well, he had to do in that interview with Megyn Kelly, he had to do 1,000 disclaimers. You can be pro-Israel and still have misgivings about how they're going about trying to root out Hamas.
But people get so emotionally riled up about the topic anytime Israel comes up that you have to start like looking at it. And at times I look at it and I don't get emotional. Like,
right.
I'm not over the top on either side, and I listen to arguments, and that's fine. Like that's great. But at times it feels like in the conservative movement, Israel is our Black Lives Matter.
Yep.
And like, you can't criticize it at all. How dare you? You're one of them, aren't you? And it's like, well, no, I'm not. Just asking questions. Yeah. And by doing anything like that, it drew the ire of the donors. And I mean, you can go back and find all the clips.
Right.
Like the week after October 7th, Charlie's on the Patrick Bet David podcast, and he said, was there a stand down order? And that's a legitimate question. Like, whether you want to admit that or not, that is a legitimate question in a country the size of New Jersey.
Well, and just so people understand, if they don't understand, was there a stand down order? So Benjamin Netanyahu going through a very tough political time.
50% of the country hates him. Millions in the street protesting him.
And so the theory is, and you and I talked about this on our podcast.
Mostly peaceful.
The theory is that there was a stand down order to allow Hamas to come in, kill all those people. That would rile up a bunch of support, galvanize people in support of Benjamin Netanyahu. And I'm assuming that Netanyahu said no.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they categorically deny it.
Right.
But Charlie would ask those questions.
Of course.
And that would piss people off. And Charlie never went out and said, yes, that's exactly what happened. He said, I've been there, and that gives me pause.
Yeah.
But Charlie wasn't afraid to talk about these things.
Isn't this what we've been saying about Charlie Kirk since he was assassinated, and before that, is that his whole thing was the conversation,
free speech and debate, and that's exactly what we should still be fighting for. And when Dan does a great segment on what Candace is talking about, what the internet's talking about, because let's be honest, this is the conversation online right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And especially given the light of these text messages that seem staged on some level, depending on which side you're on, which we're going to talk about during my show, it only adds more fuel to the fire. And then anytime you ask a question to be called an anti-Semite, you're like, okay, why am I being called an anti-Semite?
So let's talk about the text messages.
Yeah.
So when I read the text messages, I thought a number of things. Number one is, it seems to me, and folks were talking about the text messages between the suspect and his furry tranny lover guy, boyfriend. And so I thought, well, it seems like what's going on is the suspect is writing this to provide cover for his boyfriend, where it's like, I did this in secret, essentially saying that you didn't know about any of this. I think my theory is that he was the suspect. He knew a lot about guns. He made that shot, allegedly,
He grew up hunting,
conservative 2A11 household. And then he ends up in this culture where he's online with all of these, subreddit threads and the trans culture, the violent trans culture. You've got the furries, the Antifa, trans Tifa, the whole thing. And so he's embedded in this culture. He ultimately then takes out Charlie Kirk, And then my question would be, okay, so is he a patsy for this culture? Because as I've been talking about throughout the show today, you've got Kash Patel saying that they're looking at some of these organizations who seem to have and posted that they may have known that this was about to happen.
Like Armed Queers, SLC.
The Trantifas.
Yeah, the Trantifas.
The Trans-Tifas and all that kind of stuff.
So the two prevailing theories online are that either it was faked by the two individuals in the text message to provide that cover, or that it was faked by feds.
Yes. And I think that a lot of people are going down that road.
Because they say that it's boomer speak as opposed to...
It's boomer and cop speak. So, okay, so if it was the two individuals, they gave it away in the line where he says, you remember when I was engraving those bullets?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's those two trying to create a cover story and an alibi, you blew it because you let know that there was knowledge of something beforehand in the text messages. Then the flip side is if it's cops, there's a lot of or feds, there's a lot of cop speak in it. There's one vehicle lingering. The way they create an alibi for the old guy immediately.
Everybody knows, and Joan, you'll remember this from your traffic reporting days. You never say vehicle, you say car.
Yeah.
Vehicle lingering,
right?
town got locked down. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point. I mean, all these
drop point
is in there. It's just
Sam had an interesting perspective on it.
Said squad car.
Squad car, yeah.
Who talks like that?
Sam said, Sam, go ahead with the voice speak.
So I feel like in this moment, he's obviously watching over the scene of things. I'm not going to be taking my eyes down and texting something long form with my thumbs out, but I would put the voice text on, and I would try my best to get punctuation and articulate my words and everything. And are we really going to try and dive into the mind of Tyler Robinson and the vernacular he chooses to describe the things around him as he's actively sending messages?
Yeah, but we can decide what's not likely.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people saying this is not how 20-somethings text back and forth. I didn't.
Yeah, my initial reaction was it felt like feds trying to sound like gay Zoomers.
Yeah, yeah.
That honestly, like I don't know how you describe it any differently. Just vehicle lingering. Just the use of the vernacular, squad car.
Yeah.
I think they already swept. I think they already swept that spot.
Okay, now I'm going to throw something out at you though. His dad was a sheriff.
This is true.
27 years.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
He grew up around it in the culture, and the language. I mean, part of the reason I know what I know is my parents are attorneys.
Yeah.
I grew up around the language.
That could explain some of it, but
but here's the thing, is that this is what's out there. And so label it conspiracy theory, label it as a theory. But the term conspiracy theory to me, I've been called a conspiracy theorist many times in my life, and I've been proven right. So
I think one of the heartbreaking things about this is we've reached a point in culture where we're never going to have a consensus on the truth again.
No, that's a great point. We will never have a consensus on the truth. Well, I think do we at least accept that this guy was the shooter?
I do, yeah.
So my opinion is this guy is the shooter, but all of those other layers of, the trans groups, the armed, the tranny armed organizations.
Armed Queers, SLC.
Armed Queers, SLC. I did a thing on them earlier, and it's just, you're right. I don't think we'll ever have a consensus on what ultimately happened. There's always going to be people that said Israel is behind it. There's always going to be people that say
but
that
to the Israel people, like
it.
You have to bring more evidence than just Charlie clips.
Right.
Like both things can be true, and that's where I stand. Yes, I truly do believe Charlie was getting pressured from some of his biggest donors. He said it himself.
Yeah,
we don't have to theorize. He said it. So that's true. I also think a deranged person with mental illness who is motivated by leftist ideology took a shot and killed Charlie Kirk.
Yep.
But I don't think we'll ever have a consensus on it ever again.
Nope.
Well, I think the government ruined that for us all through COVID, through the JFK files, Epstein. I think the government has ruined our ability to feel like an explanation is the real truth.
I can talk about 9/11 Saudis.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to that.
There
I
you
did a
go.
segment on that
Yeah.
last week called A Conspiracy Theorist.
I know, but this is where we're at.
So but you know what? But here's the deal. If people want to call me a conspiracy theorist, that's fine.
It's better than calling you an anti-Semite. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, you get that too.
But that stuff, when people, you realize you're devaluing the term.
Oh,
like, do you understand that? Like,
well, what have we always said about when you call Trump Hitler?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You are sanitizing what Adolf Hitler did, and that's what we accuse the left of doing. So if I'm an anti-Semite by just presenting the story the way that I did, seems a little just bizarre to me. But again, there's a reason why I did it at the end of the show.
Yeah. You knew I'd be listening.
Because I can go to Starbucks and order a Charlie Kirk.
Oh, no, you're not allowed to.
So can somebody please explain to me what is happening?
This is coming up in my news. You want to play the audio again?
Spoil it, Joan.
Yeah, I will.
So apparently people are going into Starbucks and they're ordering a Charlie Kirk.
Or they're asking to have the name put on their order.
They're asking the name.
Didn't Charlie like a certain matcha drink?
He liked
matcha with
their mint
honeys.
tea with 2 honeys.
Which I want to try that. That sounds really good. Anyway, so
do you want to hear the audio, or do
go
we
ahead.
not have time for that?
No, we got time.
Okay, good.
The name is Charlie Kirk. We can't do political names, but it didn't even ask for a name to begin with, so it's gonna be $3.75. Okay?
Oh, but can you write the name on the cup?
The sticker won't print.
Oh, you can't write on that?
I could, but I could write Charlie
Why can't you write the whole name?
because it's political.
Political?
Yeah.
You know what? Forget it. I don't want it.
And out she goes.
Yeah.
Good for her. Go to Dunkin's.
Dunkin' Donuts has great coffee.
They do.
Hold on. Now, apparently we're being Tyler Robinson's father, Matt Robinson, is not in law enforcement of any kind. Early media reports speculated that he was a 27-year veteran of the Washington County Sheriff's Office, but apparently he was not, is from what I'm seeing.
Oh.
Okay.
Interesting. But in the text message, he said he was turning himself into a friend who was a deputy.
Friend who was a deputy. Yeah.
Yes.
But because his dad was owned a construction company. But you can be a long-time law enforcement officer and then work in construction. So after you retire, whatever. Okay. So
I don't know.
I stand well damned. By the way, if you ever want to use that, if you're ever corrected by a listener, if you want to say I stand well damned as opposed to corrected,
I think
you can go ahead and do that.
I think we could start something.
Put it on a hashtag, man.
I rarely get corrected.
Really? Dwayne would. Dwayne from yesterday. Holy mac. Was that yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, Dwayne.
I got all these people that were texting me, telling me that you were under verbal assault. So
some people are emotionally heartbroken over the narco terrorists that get bombed. So it's tough.
Is that what Dwayne's problem was?
He called them fishermen.
Whatever.
He also said Trump started 7 wars.
I heard that, and that actually made no sense. It's like, no, he didn't.
I was like, we're already starting off on a bad foot.
And if he wanted to talk about starting wars, and one of the examples he had was Iran. Well,
no, but I hand fed him that one because I was like, okay, so you're obviously talking about Venezuela, and then I'll give you Iran because I think you're going to go there. Name the other 5.
Right, that's exactly what you did, and I mean, I know where you're going with that, but. No, he didn't start a war with Iran. They haven't responded because they're unable to respond.
But for the benefit of the argument,
of the doubt,
for the benefit of the argument, I'll give you those 2.
You were trying to get him to go somewhere because he was just like
he was very angry.
I mean, I had to wipe my face off listening on the radio because he was spitting so much.
It was
what I said right there.
Call in today, Dwayne, if you want to, anytime. I like those kind of calls.
Yeah, I know you do. All right, it is 8:56. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Can I get some audio? Are you my audio? Whatever. Joan, what's coming up in the news?
Bum, bum, bum.
Very nice, guys. A Nashville hit and run. And
I don't
this
think she
time,
meant that, Chris.
I don't think so.
It's a child victim. Also, we will review what Starbucks has just done to keep Charlie Kirk off their cups.
All right, 8:56.
Because you spoiled my news.
Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They're in the middle of their Busy Bee Best Prices of the Year event. The savings are buzzing right now. With any heating repair service, you are going to get a free dryer vent cleaning. Protect your home and feel safer on us. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. right now. If you need a new HVAC unit, check out these stingers. A Goodman 14.3 SEER 2-ton split heat pump